a much better recording of the song.
I think we lost somebody.
Goodness, hey.
Hey, well, you're here with us at Show Us Don't Tell Us. I don't know who you all are, but I think the leadoff person dropped out here. You got Peter Kling here, along with Papa Bear and Michael Bayhouse. We did have Skillzzz along here, but Skillzzz lost his skills and disappeared. Anyways,
I am indeed here.
You are? Well, why didn't you pipe up? Why didn't you pipe up? I thought you were going to lead the show.
Welcome, guys and girls, to another fine episode of Show Us Don't Tell Us, live here on the L&M Radio Network. And like Peter did mention, we have Peter on and Papa Bear is jumping in there. And Michael, he's playing engineer tonight. He's quite a bit underneath the weather, but he is here with us. Believe me when I tell you that.
He's a trooper.
Welcome, Papa and Peter. Good heavens.
Well, thank you. Awesome introduction, Skillzzz. Thank you very much. Mike, take care of yourself, man. I kind of know how you feel. If I got punched in the face, I'd probably know, but I don't know. Anyway, Peter, how are you?
Oh, tired, but not bad besides that. You know, but my clock isn't set for midnight anymore. For some reason, my natural sleep pattern starts somewhere around 9 p.m. and I just been following that. I used to be a night person. Go figure.
So you kind of got back to the day schedule again, right?
Well, yeah. Well, no, not that I. It's kind of strange. I've always been a night person. As a matter of fact, I've done some of my best work as when the sun goes down in the dark. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Actually, I wrote most of Letters to Earth during the night. You know, it'd be nice and peaceful, and I could get a lot of work done, nobody bothering you, and so that was not an issue. And for the longest time, I'd have no issue staying up till my favorite time to be awake is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'd go to sleep when the sun came up, most of the time, but it's not that way anymore. And I might as well get right into this. The Schumann resonance of the Earth has been changing right along. It used to be at 7.83 hertz, for the longest time. And now, as a matter of fact, yesterday, from the news that I got today, it set a new record at 110 hertz.
Well, doesn't that fluctuate?
Hey, Peter, for the audience, could you mind explaining to everybody what exactly that is for those that don't know? All right.
Earth is kind of like a living organism, or not kind of, it actually is. And when Earth was vibrating at 7.83 hertz per second, it was our brains vibrate in the between 4 and 8 hertz per second when we are asleep. So a lot of people have been complaining about not being able to sleep, being more stressed, sleep patterns totally destroyed or messed up, being on edge, being angry, and it's all caused, at least my theory is, by the increase in the Schumann resonance. When our brain is vibrating at 7.83 hertz, we're either fast asleep or we're in deep meditative prayer or in meditation. But when the Earth is vibrating, or the Earth jumped up about a month ago and started vibrating between 13 and 35 hertz, and that's a beta response. If our brain is vibrating between 13 and 35 megahertz, we're in a reactionary response. We're in that beta fight or flight response area. And if our brain is vibrating at 35 hertz per second, we are essentially fighting for our lives. Now, when we get over, let me just finish. When we get over 40 hertz per second, that's gamma. And so the Earth is vibrating in high gamma, where it's never been recorded before. And when that happens, well, not so much going into the gamma, just the increase in the Schumann resonance has caused both mental and physical breakdowns.
Yeah.
So, so we're under stress. We're under a lot of stress here.
Well, you mentioned fight or flight, okay? And I remember as a youngster, believe it or not, I used to be young. It was still, in the 20th century. But anyway, I was cornered in the gym, and I was trying to avoid the conflict. And I don't know what happened, but everything turned black. It just blacked right out. And I went from being in the corner to holding him in the corner. And I have no idea what happened, not a clue. And when that happened to me, I scare myself. I just don't know what I'm capable of doing, especially if I black out,
Well, that would be almost a gamma response, or a response in the gamma area where we can't remember something. We've done something and can't remember it. Well, typically that doesn't happen down in delta theta, because you need to be asleep during that time period.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was nothing. I mean, there was nothing between the time he had me by the collar and I had him by the collar, and we swapped places. I don't remember anything in between. Nothing.
And that's just something that happens with the Earth doing its thing and vibrating as it is. We pick up on that frequency and on that harmony, and we get stressed, and we'll do strange things, or we'll experience strange things under stress.
Yeah, obviously. Because, I mean, that scared me at a young age. I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of a Hulk moment, if you know what I mean.
Yep. And that you have the adrenaline pump, and the brain shoots right through that beta state, and it reacts at a speed that we can almost not comprehend. Well, the experience that I've heard a lot when people go into gamma is usually during some kind of a high trauma situation. A lot of times a car crash, and people, it was all in slow motion, because their brains are operating at such a speed trying to comprehend everything that's going on, because it turns into mental overload. And if our brains continue to work at that frequency, at the gamma frequency, we would pass out. Hence, you become faint, or you don't remember what actually happened.
Right.
So that's
almost like,
that's the state that the world is vibrating in.
One time I was on the job years ago, and there was a strap holding up this flume, and it was extremely heavy. Well, the strap had sheared, and I had my legs up in the spider, because I had to do some welding along the spider. And when that strap sheared, this thing, I forget how many pounds it weighed. It was quite a few thousand pounds. It dropped probably about 6 foot. And my legs were up in there. It snapped off a come-along that was holding it dead center, so I could go ahead and align the spider to weld it up. And it was weird. The guy, my buddy outside the door, looked at me white as a ghost. He says, "You all right?" That come-along snapped and went right past my face. I got up out of there, and I had to go for a walk. I mean, all of a sudden, guys are running upstairs to see what happened. My boss, he passed me running up the stairs. I passed him walking down the stairs. I swear, I think I know what shock is, because I had to keep asking myself what happened. I couldn't put it together. I just couldn't put it together. It was weird. So now I don't know if that's a state of shock or the / gamma, but it's just like you can't, you're not putting it together. Your brain's still leaving it kicked off to the side, because it doesn't want you. You're not ready to handle what unfolded. Is what that was pretty much telling me, and my brain I couldn't put it together. I just have to ask myself, what happened? What happened? I couldn't answer any questions. What happened? I was lost. It was weird. weird. I'm serious, man.
Yeah,
Do you remember now?
Oh,
Do you-
I remember now, but phew.
Yeah. You know, I still don't remember that black spot. It's still not there. It never came to me. That's what, and that's what shakes me up so much. You think at some point you'd remember it, but no, it's not there.
no.
It's just gone.
Well, when we look at what's going on with the planet itself, and then with the people on the planet, and look around us, it's like, wait a minute, how did we get here? And we see all these people reacting differently, and I'm sure our radio listening audience can appreciate a lot of this. If you've had your sleep states changed around, or you have insomnia, you find yourself irritable, it all goes back to the Schumann resonance, and that's maybe one of the reasons why there's so little cooperation between people here on Earth, is that we're being stressed to the point that we don't want to get involved in anybody else's nonsense.
And when the body decides it's not going to make melatonin at night, is that the idea?
Well, yeah, right. Because that's supposed to have. Well, like Pete says, he's back to 9 o'clock now. That's from what I understand. I guess depending on where you're geographically at, I would think 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night is supposed to be when this stuff kicks in.
Well, it's not that I'm back at 9 o'clock. I've never been at 9 o'clock, not since I was a little kid. And even then I wasn't at 9 o'clock. What I did in order to actually started doing something, because I couldn't sleep, couldn't figure out what was going on. I knew being back on the grid was a thing, and my sleep patterns were all messed up, and I just didn't have any rhyme or reason for when I wanted to sleep. So what I actually started doing is I was like, okay, I'm the master of my own mind here. I don't have to pay attention to what's going on around me. I could take care of myself. And that's what I started to do throughout the day. I would picture myself sleeping soundly, waking up refreshed. And so when I would start to get tired or get sleepy, I'd go straight to bed. And that time was about 9 o'clock, 9:30. I start getting sleepy, and I'm like, really? Well, I'm not going to fight it. I went to bed, and I would get about 6 hours of reasonable sleep. Which sounds, right. I wouldn't exactly call it sound, because I'm a fairly light sleeper anyway. Yeah. But once that's what I had to do. I actually had to set up a little program within my own mind on keep on visualizing myself falling asleep, and then awaking refreshed. Of course, tonight that doesn't exist. On Monday nights that doesn't happen too often. But
yeah, welcome to senior life, right?
I don't know if you could call it senior life, because this has been a drastic change in my own response, in my own biological clock.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never gotten to sleep at 9 o'clock.
You hit in the senior years, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Oh?
Yeah, but Barry, that doesn't happen literally overnight.
Yeah, well, I don't know. What do you call it?
Yeah, this was something that I just...
I don't know. And
what I call it is a mental program so I could sleep.
Yeah, menopause.
Menopause.
Well, no, I was going to bring up midlife crisis.
No,
BS.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, right.
Well, no. But here's my question in regards to midlife crisis stuff with guys. What does that happen? Does your testosterone level just reaches some subliminal?
It only happens to certain guys. It's those guys that say, "My God, look how old I am, and look what I've gotten done," and they start jamming themselves in the corner and beating themselves up. That's your midlife crisis, basically.
Well, if that's the case, that happened to me back about 15, no, closer to 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
I gotta look up the definition.
I had
that started at 30 for me,
my midlife crisis ended after I started writing letters to Earth. That put me on a very sound basis. I had no. Of crises
maybe
I've
midlife
had
crisis
since then.
Write a book. My goodness, I have a hard time writing a check. Never mind a book.
Maybe it means you're not tearing off enough leg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Huh? What do you think?
Trying
I
not
think
to.
it's when that testosterone level drops, man. You know, because they claim actually the levels of if you take a couple once they get in their they're moving up into their 60s and that their levels their hormonal levels begin to become pretty even.
Well, men start losing their testosterone production at around 40. I mean, it's a pretty young age. And the only way you can get that back, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're saying through injections and stuff like that, but they give you this stuff, and it's only good for a month or so, and by the time you use it, it's stale anyway. So, I mean, what good is any of it doing, really?
I don't know about, it depends on person to person, I guess, because I never had any situations with feeling low testosterone levels. So I don't know what to tell you. Let's see.
Well,
10 years,
okay, my
10
neighbor
years
had,
ago, I was dating somebody a third my age. So
yeah, the neighbor I had over there in Hebron, he was 73 years old, and he had a little bit of a problem with his testosterone levels, so he's doing the injections. This is how I know about this stuff, I mean, 73 years old. I swear to God, we went in a grocery store. I look like his father. It's crazy, I'm telling you.
Until you start growing mammalian protuberances, I wouldn't worry about it. Holy smokes, right? There's a deer about 100 feet away from me, man, walking by. One of the neighbor's lights just went on. Man, a good-sized deer, too. Wow, cool.
Well,
yeah,
you're inside. No, you can't take that one out. So.
Yeah, until you start growing mammary freaking glands, you wouldn't get too terribly concerned about it at that point in time.
Mammaries, yeah. I opened up Skype today, and it says, "Say happy birthday to Show Us, Don't Tell Us," and I'm like, so I guess the account's been up for about a year, and I'm like, well, geez, say happy birthday to Show Us, Don't Tell Us. I mean, I got one coming up here soon. Another week, over a week, right? It's the 20th. But yeah, my 59's coming up. Not 60 yet, but I'm getting there. I'm pushing it.
Yeah, buddy, you're getting there. I'm in a waiting line. I'm still 52. So. Yeah.
And
you guys are the youngsters in the crowd here. Talk like a bunch of old men. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
And I don't know why, I don't know why, but I want to take a road trip this summer, and I don't know why. There's something wrong with me. I'm not functioning.
That's a midlife crisis. It's a midlife crisis, I'm telling you. Are you growing mammary glands or? Oh,
yeah, but they're
you doing
low.
the injections there, Barry?
yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Oh, you name it.
Do you use lavender soap on a continuous basis?
Down the coast and head west and up the other side, back east. I don't know.
I'll tell you, if you're going to go do a road trip, go see the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
You will never see anything like the Grand Canyon ever.
Well, if I take a road,
it'll be the best hole you've ever seen. Yeah,
right? Yeah. Oh, boy. I didn't even think about going there, actually. I thought there's a couple of Michaels I want to see in South Carolina. I thought maybe I'd head down that way, but stop in Connecticut on the way. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. We drove out. I never really thought about going to the Grand Canyon, and my second wife's family they lived in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so we made a plan to go see the Grand Canyon. I was like, okay, well, let's go check this out. And so, you fly to Phoenix, and then the next day we started heading up. It was like the next day or 2 days. We headed up toward the Grand Canyon. It was like, I don't know, almost a 4-hour drive from Phoenix by the time we got there.
Right.
And I could start to see parts of it, kind of like through the trees. You can see the other side of the Grand Canyon. But we found a place to, go to park, and I walked out and just looked across and looked down and looked up. Look up's river, look
Yeah.
downriver, and it was like,
You know,
I was
I've
totally content at that point. I could have turned around, packed up the bags, got back on the plane, went back home, and said, I have now lived.
yeah. Who knows? I could
It
wind
is
up in
impressive.
Sturgis. I could wind up in Sturgis, Deadwood. You know, you never know. But I'm
Well,
impulsive.
see,
You know, I mean, show me a couch and I might
You
hold it
come
down
back
for the
that way.
night.
see, keep in mind the
There
Grand
you go.
Canyon is such a big hole, you don't even know where to start tackling it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
You're looking
You
and
know what
it's
a
like,
road map.
whoa, this thing just goes forever.
Yeah.
That's why I got to fly over the frickin' thing. Not only that, what's really cool, from what I understand, they got to talk to a buddy of mine who had been out there a couple of years ago. They have that cantilevered glass cantilever overlook, where
Yeah.
you're standing out there and you're looking straight down, you know, below your feet, and obviously you're seeing it pushing it, and it's like what 1,800 feet deep, man. It's insane. That's like as
Yeah.
deep as it is to get down the salt mines here in Cleveland.
Now,
1,800 feet.
don't they have like, I gotta say this right, burro rides down there? Or do they stop those?
Mule
Well, I thought
rides.
they had the
Mule
mule
ride.
rides, right?
Mule,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
burro.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
okay.
had a friend that,
How
a
exciting
couple
is
of
that?
friends that,
I didn't want to use
I
the
had
wrong
friends,
term.
I have friends that took that, actually went on that trip, on the mule trip down there, and they said, you know, the mules just clunk along like because they've been doing it all their lives, basically. They know
Oh,
where every
yeah.
footstep is.
Yeah.
And, but it's like she said, they would go around a bend, and it's like you look at the stone wall one way and you're looking down right off the cliff, off the edge of the back of the mule, and it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
What
I can
Brady
imagine
Bunch
that.
episode was that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, it
No,
was
I'm
an
not sure
episode.
about
It didn't really happen. Yeah.
but that,
I was
you
gonna
know,
say
that's
I never watched the Brady. Well, I wasn't a Brady Bunch fan. I can't say I never watched it. I have seen it, but it was like not one
yeah.
of those things that I had to tune into.
But that's kind
I
of what I
was on
thought
the
about doing, and I thought about doing it on two wheels. And I don't mean like Evil Knievel.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
we'll
right.
get you jetpack and a
Yeah,
parachute.
yeah,
A pair of what?
yeah.
A
Pair of
parachute.
these nuts.
Oh my goodness. No, yeah. But I wanted to do it on a bike. It's a hell of a lot more economical, you know, than I don't know, a pickup with a 360, right?
Do it on a unicycle. You know, that's even more economical.
Oh, sure. Hey, I could do it on foot.
My wife used to ride a unicycle back in the day.
Yeah.
Impressive. Oh yeah.
Goodness.
But yeah. Yeah, that's that thing's huge. I mean, it's really cool to fly over that and take a look down. It's like, wow, because I mean, you could actually enjoy it from 30,000 feet in the air, trailing at 480,000 or 480 miles an hour. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this deal in France, Le Pen, Macron, is that the guy's name?
Something like that.
Yeah, Le Pen lost, right? I haven't even watched what was going on there. I haven't researched any of them. You know, all you hear is what's on the news, but you never know. I mean, because what we get over here is, like, in most cases, far from being true.
Well, from what I understand, the new president of France is a total European Union supporter. Big surprise there.
NWO.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, he's fallen right in line.
Ah,
They got
yeah.
somebody who they wanted, who's a globalist.
Well, that's why there was no riots.
Nope.
Okay, I got it. All right.
Yeah. Anytime you
I
follow your
figured.
sheep, well, there's not going to be a riot. Yeah, right.
Well, no, I figured because a woman didn't win, they'd be in the streets. You know, a lot like these classy people we got out here walking the streets, peacefully protesting. You know, cleaning up their litter when they're done and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Well, no offense to anybody. Yeah. France is loaded with snowflakes. Come on. How many times whenever they've been a world war, well, except for Napoleon's little conquest, but they lost France twice to Germany.
I figured Canada was more known for snow than France, but that, yeah, okay.
I was talking about a different type of snowflake. Come on now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's surprising.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked at all of Europe, to be quite honest with you, just with the whole immigration problem that they've been having over there. The authorities have been trying to sweep it under the rug, but people are getting hurt. Women are being raped. Was it a year ago? Last a year ago, last January, I guess, right around New Year's, they had over 600 rapes in Germany. It was like, are you serious? And they are sweeping these statistics under the rug, trying to hide it all, and they've infected their countries with a cancer.
Yeah.
And I'm not. This is not an anti-Islamic statement. This is you've brought a totally different culture into your home country, and I don't care which country it is, and then you support their rights to destroy your country.
Yeah, they don't assimilate.
Yeah, they do not assimilate. And every ethnic group. I mean, let's face it. The United States is made up of more ethnic groups than any other country, but it wasn't until the influx of Hispanic people came that we actually started to become a two-language nation. And you would expect everybody to kind of go to their own groups. All the Germans came in together, and they had their neighborhoods. The Italians had their neighborhoods. You still have Little Italy down in New York City. You got Chinatown. You got the different ethnic areas within almost every city. But for the most part, the people who came to this country assimilated within the country itself and worked to support this country.
Right.
And we don't have that this time around. These people are brought into the country. They're settled by Christian charity groups, either through the Protestant, Lutheran, or Catholic religions, which the government has paid over $1 million last year for their services, just to settle these people, get them on our social welfare programs. So they're not adding anything. They're not working. They're not paying taxes. And then you've got the criminal element.
No. There are a certain amount of taxes they have to pay.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking your everyday use taxes, sales taxes, gasoline taxes. You know what I mean? They're paying those taxes. Those taxes are being collected. And don't misunderstand me. They're using a share of the budget. But also the money they spend here is also putting back into the tax revenue. I do have to mention that.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Where are they getting the money to put into the tax revenue? Oh, from the taxpayers to begin with.
Absolutely. And I get it. I get
it. And so
I get it. But, well, think about it this way. I mean, either you hire somebody from Mexico or you hire somebody to work for the state. Which one are you making more money on?
Barry, hold on. When I was about 19 years old, I was living in the mountains in North Carolina, southern Appalachia. Jobs were difficult to come by. And so my brother and I thought that, let's go down to Florida and pick oranges. We can make money picking oranges.
Yeah.
Then I found out that orange trees had thorns on them that the size of syringe needles. It's like, seriously?
Yeah.
But, here's the thing. My brother and I we picked oranges for a day, and that was it. We were done picking oranges. We went down to Miami and partied after that. But there were Hispanic people with their families. I mean, the kids and they were all picking oranges.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, they would be getting paid for that. They were working. They were getting paid. I don't care if they were legal or illegal. They were working, and they were getting paid for it. I guarantee you those people were not getting a welfare check. They were not getting food stamps, or they were not getting a social handout.
I get it. But most of these people that come in, I say most, the ones on work visas, they're the ones that go in the fields. They pick the stuff that, the stuff that we ain't going to do. All right. We're too good for that or something. I don't know. But anyway, you do have your share of illegals coming in, all right, and they're creating havoc. Absolutely. These people are brought in. I mean, or they're paid to come here, and they're a constant nuisance, and it keeps going and going and going. And somebody's profiting from this. Believe me, they're
Oh
not
yeah.
doing this for nothing.
Oh
Well, I
well,
mean,
we already know the church has profited by over $1 billion last year.
Yeah,
Why are we paying the church based on a per person basis that they bring into this country and put on our welfare system? Why are we paying the church to do this?
well, come on, we're raping their resources. We'll go down there and we'll get their drugs, right? And then that laundry money is drug money. You know, the
yeah, it's
cocaine
a whole
import
other can of worms.
agency.
That's another can of worms.
Yeah, the cocaine import agency. You know who I mean, right?
Sure, I do. I know exactly who you mean.
You know, this should be set up like they do in Australia, because I know people who have relatives that, all right, you get your visa, whatever, to go down there. However, you have to prove that you are going to be a viable individual and profitable for the country. In other words, they're not gonna let some average stumble frick come in there. They're gonna watch you, and hey, if you are a decent citizen and a productive citizen for the country, they'll bring you in. Otherwise, man, if you're just some stumble frick, get out of here, man. Just see ya, goodbye.
Yeah, but Australia has the same problem with this as well. Because they're taking their share of refugees. They have the same problems with Islam there. As a matter of fact,
Germany has it.
3 weeks ago,
has it.
One of the Australian officials was the prime minister. Somebody said Christians shouldn't wear their crosses anymore because it could upset the Muslim population or the Islamic population and make them and cause issues. Wait a minute. I have to give up my beliefs, or not that I wear a cross. I'm just saying in general. I have to give up my beliefs because of somebody else's beliefs, so I don't offend them. And they're not even born in the country that I'm born in.
Yeah.
What do they get? Get out of my house. Get out of my country. Get out of my part of the world.
Yeah, you gotta paper a butthole. Stay away from my campfire.
Don't come to the neighborhood and tell me that I've got to now preach. I got to learn your religion. I got to conform to your ways, and I got to do what you want. I can't follow my own ways. You're out of your mind. And you see, this is going to become one big festering sore, and it's going to shortly pop in Europe, and it'll lead into the United States within the next 18 months.
And this war is bigger than us. We know that.
Yeah, it's the reverse of the holy wars. If you look at the routes that were taken from Europe into the Middle East, those routes, just flip the arrows the other way, and those are the routes that the refugees from the Middle East have been coming into Europe.
Yeah.
And that's not counting the refugees that try to just come across from Africa to get where they cross the Mediterranean.
Right.
And how many people of those people die by the boatloads trying to get to Europe to have a better life? But that's different. Fleeing for an economic reason is one thing. But wait a minute. Think about this logically. You've got all these other allied countries like Saudi Arabia and all those good old boys there, Jordan and Egypt and Turkey. Yep. They're all heavily Islamic population. They're all in the general same area. Why do you want to move somebody from Somalia to Michigan?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Lewiston, Maine has a pretty decent Somalian population.
Yes, they do.
Why do you take somebody who's lived in the desert all their life and then take them to another country, not where it's warm? They don't take them to Phoenix, Arizona, or some place in New Mexico. They ship them up to the northern part where they're going to get snowed on, something that they've probably never seen before in their life in person.
Yeah.
And, makes no sense.
And the culture is way different than ours. I mean, I used to do duct work, okay? I went in this market. It's called Mogadishu Market, how appropriately named, right? And we had to put in duct work, and it went over the freezer, all right? And, of course, while insulating this, they're working on the floor under us. They are cutting lamb or something on a bandsaw, an upright bandsaw. And they set it in a bowl, and the bowl sits on the floor. And this stuff reeks. I mean, it reeks. And, of course, being up on top of the cooler, that's all I'm going to smell. But that's the type of culture they live. That's just in the food.
Hey, that whatever they, I really, I love all different cultures. I've enjoyed all different foods from all around the world. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue when there's a change of ideals. Hey, you think I'm an infidel because I don't obey Sharia law, or I can't go in a certain section of the town because it's mostly Islamic and I can't enter there because now I have to practice Sharia law? Now, we don't have that situation here in the United States, but they have it over in Europe. So, the whole world is just one big mishmash of opposing ideals,
right?
And it's not going to be a good outcome. Once you get to a certain stage or a certain point, it's going to boil over. And it's just like I wouldn't put up with anybody trying to enforce their religious beliefs on me.
Hey, I see Ira, but I don't see Skillzzz. Ira.
Hey, it's me. Hopefully he didn't get dropped out. I'm sorry if he did.
I don't know what happened. I heard two weird noises, and you're here, and Skillzzz is gone. Oh, there he is. He's back now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
About that.
Right.
See, I go and mess
Welcome to
everything up.
Tell us, Ira, what's on your mind?
I got to go and mess everybody up, right? Well,
sure.
I was calling in because you guys are discussing this whole, bringing them in through like Catholic charities and that kind of stuff. And I've got a perfect example of what you guys are discussing. It's happening here in our town. We have in our little town here, it's not so little. I mean, we're the second biggest town in Indiana, but it's not that huge compared to like New York and that kind of stuff. It's a town of like 300,000 people. Anyways, so we in this town have more Burmese living here than anywhere outside of Burma itself. So in other words, out of everywhere in the world, we have the biggest Burma population outside of Burma itself. We have a massive amount of these Burmese refugees that are living here. Okay. They were all brought in through Catholic charities. So as you guys were discussing already, Catholic charities, these other charitable organizations, they're bringing these, refugees into the country. We have, just a crap ton of them living here. Now, most of them are living in one section of town. It's the southeast section of our city. And it's always been kind of a low economic part of our town, although not so bad, right? Well, since these guys have been brought here, that part of town has essentially become a wasteland. There are businesses that have tried to compensate for the people being here that are, again, entirely foreign to this culture, and not only foreign to the culture, but refuse in every way to assimilate to the culture in any way, shape, or form. They do not want to be here. Okay. Right. They do not want to be here. And because of that, they don't want to learn any kind of language other than their own. They don't want to do any kind of, toiletries they do differently over there. The bathrooms are different over there. Bathing processes are different over there. Yeah. Food processes are different over there. Okay. So with those things in mind, for instance, there was a laundromat that was here that had been servicing, that whole area, and coin-op laundry kind of situation. Well, the Burmese were coming into this business, and while they were there washing their clothes, they would just whip it out and piss all over the floor. They'd go into the corner, piss into the floor. They would, they were always constantly chewing on these seeds. It's, again, a cultural thing there. And so the shells, they would just spit the shells everywhere.
Sunflower seeds.
Yeah. They would, take a crap in the drains. They would, bathe, just pull their clothes off and bathe in the sinks that are there.
Awesome.
All right. So these businesses, like for instance, the guy that owned that business, he put up a sign. Finally, he was like, Burmese are not allowed here. I cannot afford to clean this every day. This is a biohazard situation.
Don't tell me they flamed this frickin' guy. Are you kidding me?
And yes, the city came down hard on him, fined him like crazy. The ACLU got involved in the whole situation, sued him. He lost massive amount of money. So he ended up having to reopen the doors to everybody again. Finally, he ended up having to close his business because he got to the point, it was such a mess situation that he could not afford to hire another person just to clean up after these people coming in.
And that's the idea. The idea is you take all the natives or whatever, you make them all broke, and then they start fighting each other over what's left.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like divide and conquer.
Well,
Yep.
you're taking third world country people,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not a slur against them. But Ira, you said the key point. They don't want to be here, so why are we bringing them here?
Right.
They do not want to be here in any way.
And think about this. I mean, you've got how many millions of these people? If you were to bust these people out, you know how long it would take? I mean, God, it would take years.
It's gotten to the point where about 6 or 7, I think the last I noticed, it was about 7% of our population in town now are made up entirely of these Burmese refugees.
Unreal.
Yeah, and it's a way to turn. This is part of the post 2015 development agenda.
2030?
No. What is happening right now, when the Pope stood before Congress and was giving them instructions, this is exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And that is being merciful to those people in the third world countries who do not have what we have. So now we're bringing these people in from the third world countries, share our wealth, and destroy the rest of our country in the process.
Right.
And it just doesn't work that way.
The Pope opened the gate. Take them in the Vatican.
Yeah, exactly. But in order to be Christian, Christians don't build walls, and yet the Vatican has this gigantic wall.
They do.
Peter, you're right though. I mean,
kill you.
This is again what we have here. Again, Catholic charities are the ones that are involved with bringing these guys over here. They were also involved with places like Dearborn, Michigan, where another huge influx of third world country people have come over here. They've now basically taken over that town. One of the things too that we had to deal with, and again, I don't have a problem with people that want to be here, right? If they're here legally, and if they're here as refugee status, even if they want to be here and help to assimilate, whatever, that's great, whatever, right?
Right.
But okay, so as another example, my daughter, when she was going to school, she's homeschooled now, but when she was still in public school, the class that she was in, the grade that she was in, she was the only one of only 2 non-Burmese students that were there at the school. And the teachers had to dedicate half of the days to teaching the class in Burmese and the other half of the day teaching it in the regular, English. Because,
that's crazy.
Because the parents of these Burmese children refuse to allow their children to learn English because they don't want them to assimilate to American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Time to go. Time to go.
They should have never.
They've been here, and they've now been here this has been going on now for about almost 20 years in this town.
Yeah, they should have never been brought in. They should have never been let in.
Well, this is all part. I'm going to drop back here. The Pope issued his decree. It was a 41-page treatise on October 2nd of 2013. I read all 41 pages. And it was the outline for the post-2015 development agenda. However, Irisa, this has been going on for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the Pope himself, in his outline, talks about that some of his ideas are not new. They were brought to light by Pope Pius, the 9th or 19th or whatever he was back in the early 60s.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the same thing that's going on with the Vatican trying to gain control of the holy city of the old city of Jerusalem. They've been in negotiations for several years, trying to gain control of the Temple Mount. And the end of December, they were at their final stages with the state of Israel. Israel was ready to give them control of the old city, give the Holy See control of the old city. And that's when the UN had their vote. It was right after those documents were signed. The UN had their vote that said, oh, well, we have to have a two-state solution for Israel and the old city of Jerusalem. Yeah, it belongs to the Islamic people. They have to have access to it. So that just undermined several years of what the Vatican was trying to do with the state of Israel. Now, for those people who may not know, the Vatican, and I was looking for this information, it came up interestingly, the Vatican now owns, as it's said, over 75% of the old city of Jerusalem, the real estate, including everything around the Temple Mount. Now, I had known this fact when they owned about 65% of the Vatican. A childhood friend of a friend actually became an attorney, and he's double knighted by two different popes, and he travels to the Middle East, to Jerusalem, twice a month to take care of real estate deals. He lives in New York, actually in New Jersey. So it's a constant buying of properties there.
Well, Peter, that same thing has been going on as well in other parts of the world on behalf of the Vatican as well. Look at South America. Look at what happened in South America years ago, where these different villages, entire civilizations were essentially undermined from the ground on behalf of these Catholic missionaries. They would come in, they'd build schools, or they'd build their little temples in there, and then within a matter of 15 years, the city would be converted almost entirely over to the Catholic religion, and therefore the Catholic religion, the Vatican, got more of a power base in that area, and they just took out chunks and chunks and chunks at a time.
Well,
and that's been their methodology for hundreds of years,
Yeah, and who owns the most? The Vatican owns over 40% of the landmass of planet Earth.
Yes, exactly.
Kling
because of
owns
doing
about
that kind
24.
Of stuff. Yeah.
Well, actually, not because of doing that kind of stuff. When you had the early conquerors, all the Spanish conquerors and the Portuguese conquerors, they came to the Americas, conquered the land in the name of the church.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that they did this. I mean, they did this. There's several methods. I mean, of course, they also did it through the Inquisition and all of the stuff that went on through that. If they could accuse somebody of heresy or blasphemy or witchcraft or anything along those lines, everything that they owned and everything that their family owned was completely seized and given over as property to the church. They did this over and over. It just
sounds familiar, except the stuff's going to the bank now.
Yes, exactly. Guys, I do have to take off, but I just wanted to toss this stuff in and get your guys' thoughts. But I love you guys. You guys be safe and have fun over there.
Thanks,
Ira.
Talk to you guys soon.
Hey, guys. Yeah, take care, man. anyways, let me consolidate, in my opinion, in regards to the bottom line of what's going on, such as what Ira had mentioned. All right. If you take an assembly line, all right, you're on that assembly line, point A to point Z. You're doing piecework, which means, guess what? All of you guys, to put money in your pocket, we all have to be on the same page and have a common goal now, correct? Yes. All right, very good. So now you got a couple stumble fricks, like at letter K and letter M or whatever have you, going from point A to point Z, and I'm just going to drag my feet. You know, guess what everybody else is going to do with you?
Yeah,
you're out of here.
Usually
you're breaking the chain.
Yeah, well, usually with piecework, you don't have to worry about a chain like that. You've got piles of work waiting for you. I mean, that's the experience I've had with it.
If you're on point A to point Z, all better be on the same page and keep moving in the same direction.
Well, yeah, if you're
breakdowns, but you can't have a frickin' physical attitude breakdown where I'm gonna slow down. Well, guess what? If a number M guy slows down, well, then he's just slow down everybody behind him, in front of him, and then it's game over. That affects everybody.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
but like I said, but piecework, as far as I know, all the piecework I've seen done, the work is stacked up and waiting. It's not a line type of thing where you have to wait on somebody else before you can be fed your work.
Well, no. As a matter of fact, if you go on it like short, I'm talking a full blown, somewhat of an exaggerated example. All right, now let's go back down on base. I've seen piecework, 4 people involved, and they better all be on the same page, man. 4 people.
I mean, I used to do piecework.
And you're gonna watch that.
Yeah, but it was plating.
You can't break the weight. You don't want to break the weight.
I worked alone. It was plating.
That you have full control over that.
Right. Exactly.
Full control. You start incorporating other individuals. I'm going to tell you what, man, because I watched the DPs, and I call them DPs because I'll tell you what, that's what built this country were the DPs. They were the greatest in the world, and your best workers came from the North. If you lived in the North and you wanted to get a job down South, they'd hire you. You had a resume. Who needs a resume? You're hired. You're hired, dude. Immediately, not sooner.
Well, yeah, good work ethic up here,
I was just going to say, we don't have a town hall because we don't have a town in Sandy River.
Exactly. It's like Hebron, they had a town hall, then they had a school, but there was no police department. There was a volunteer fire department. We
don't have that. We just have an administrative building, which was the old school from 100 years ago. Right. But we were down there taking care of, I think we're changing over registration on the vehicle or something at the time. And, shucks, I totally forgot where I was going to go with this because I got too far into the Sandy River thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, buildings up here are so old. When you walk in, you hear the floors creak.
Yep, work ethic. The gal who was like the town clerk, the acting town clerk, I guess you would call her, she started bragging on her son. She goes, "Oh, yep, my boy moved down to. He actually moved to Pennsylvania. He's working on a crew. She said he's managing a work crew down there." And she says, "Oh yeah," she says the kids up here have good work ethics. They get up early, and yeah, you do. You have to up in Maine. If you don't have a good work ethic in Maine, chances are you're probably going to freeze to death in the winter.
Yeah, right.
So, you're reliant upon your personal skills in order to compete against Mother Nature itself. So, when you don't have that, those skills drop off. You don't have that organic knowledge anymore, and the more the work ethic drops off, the more production drops off, the more quality drops off, right. And then the more, it's a continual spiral downturn right into the ground. Warren Buffett came out today and he said something interesting. He said, "Free trade has turned American workers into roadkill."
Yeah, all right. Hey, we got to take a break here.
Yep, absolutely. Well. And, go ahead. Stay with us. We'll be back on the other side. As soon as we hear the music play, we'll know enough to be quiet. Anyway, folks, you are listening to Show Us, Don't Tell Us. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Open Eyes Network now airs a live simulcast on YouTube. Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Open Eyes Network, features not just our live content, but other videos as well, and is always active. So now you can tune in many different ways. Open Eyes Network shows air Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live. Be sure to visit openeyesnetwork.com to find easy-to-use links to get to all of the places that you want to listen to our shows. And don't forget, all of our shows will now be archived as well on YouTube.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Open Eyes is dedicated to finding the truth in all matters. We are not afraid to be politically incorrect or to ask questions. Whether it is the paranormal, government cover-ups, the dark agenda that the puppet masters have in store for us, or aliens and UFOs, nothing remains hidden. Listen to Open Eyes, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LateNightInTheMidlands.com or OpenEyesNetwork.com. Open hearts, open minds, open eyes. Ben Franklin said, "If you do the same thing tomorrow as you did today, you're going to get the same tomorrow as you got today." Changing the world starts with you, and changing you starts with changing the way you think. Late Night in the Midlands can help. Listen to all of our shows at LateNightInTheMidlands.com, because things really do need to change.
Welcome back to Show Us, Don't Tell Us. I'm Papa Bear.
Well,
In the
well
air.
good. Haven't you beat me to the punch? Welcome back, guys and gals, once again after the break. And Papa, I'm glad you caught that. And Peter, good heavens, where are you at?
I'm somewhere.
Alrighty then. Anyways, hey, I want to tell you guys something a little bit. It was quite strange. I had this dream yesterday, and it was funny. Like that, I love it. That one film when a guy says, "Man, I just had the weirdest dream." What do you mean, dude? You're driving the car, dude. You don't have dreams while you're driving, you know. But I had a dream yesterday where, I'm driving my vehicle down the road, and I see this street light flicker, and as it flickered, so did all my electronics in my vehicle, and it stopped didn't stall, fluttered in the stream, fluttered like simultaneously along with the street light I was coming up on. And I kind of just blew up and my vehicle went dead. I'm surprised somebody didn't say, you yelled out EMP while you were sleeping, because I woke up, it's like, phew, it was a dream, but man, that was really weird.
You want to hear really weird? This is really weird. You led off with that. We have not talked about this, and I went back to pull this article up because I read it earlier today, and this is out of Tel Aviv. Okay. While the international community and news media focus on North Korea's missile test and the country's nuclear program, one expert warned on Sunday that North Korea may be secretly assembling the capability to take out significant parts of the U.S. homeland via an electromagnetic pulse attack. Dr. Peter Vincent Pry is executive director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security, and he is the chief of staff of the Congressional EMP Commission. Speaking out on this reporter's talk radio program, Pry pointed to 2 North Korean satellites that are currently orbiting the U.S. at trajectories he says are optimized for a surprise EMP attack.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So it's out there, and it's just interesting. I was going to lead off with that, but you led off with your dream, and that was a great segue into this. Yeah. So now there you go. Talk about great minds, huh?
Alrighty then.
Now let's take that Somali community and shut their lights out, or let's take the people from Burma and shut their lights out.
It's a gentleman caller, guys.
What's that?
I said it's a gentleman caller.
Welcome to showusdonttellus. How are you?
All's fun, guys.
Who's this?
This is JB.
JB.
Welcome, man. I see you in the chat room, brother.
Yeah, I tried like hell to get in there, and I think I just got in, so we're good.
You finally found us, yeah. What's on your mind, JB?
My mind, nothing. I'm actually just sitting back listening to you guys.
Are you sure you want to stay awake for this? You're rooting for punishment, I tell you.
There you go.
No, and I don't know how true this is, but I read today that Putin put out an arrest warrant for Netanyahu.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know about that either. We know how.
I don't know about that, because allegedly he put up one out for Soros, and you would have picked Soros up already somewhere.
Well, he's hiding somewhere, but it's definitely not.
Yeah, or a twin. We know how that crap works. Yeah, twins. Yeah, there's been twins for years, from Churchill down to Hitler, down to Stalin. Yeah, right.
Here's the problem, that they're all connected at the highest levels. It's all a game, and
we don't want to play it though.
Yeah, but
we're done.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm going off the grid. You guys enjoy yourself.
Yeah, but these higher levels, you're talking terrestrial. You're talking.
I'm talking.
This isn't human. This isn't us, man. We got nothing to do with this. We're just the pawns. We're the guys that. I don't know. They sit back and they drool and watch us die.
Well, no, we're that ant farm that you had when you was a kid.
Yeah, and somebody whipped out a magnifying glass.
Yeah,
right.
No, this is bigger than us. This is way bigger than us.
Took it outside and burned them. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is like a chess game that's being played, and we're not even in the same room. That's what this is. That's what this is. And we could say, oh yeah, we can blame it on ETs, and I'm sure that there's a lot of, we'll call it extraterrestrial, but maybe not extraterrestrial. Let's call it satanic rebellion, because that's what it falls into.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, and you got those guys playing chess, and we're down here playing jacks. Okay, so that's right. And we're not going to get any higher than this.
Well, here's pretty much. Here's the way of looking at it. In Genesis, in the 13th chapter, or actually, in the third chapter, we get the story of the serpent. It's not a snake; it's a serpent A serpent is a reptile. Very, very simple. In Revelation, we get a 7-headed dragon. A dragon would qualify as a reptile.
Mhm.
And so now we have tons of people that are saying, oh, well, the reptilians have control of planet Earth. As a matter of fact, I just read something the other day about, I think it was an interview that Alfred Lamont Weber had done, where the person that he was interviewing had said that the reptilians are dividing and conquering Earth. Well, if you look at what's going on, yeah, that makes sense. Are the reptilians part of the Satanic Rebellion? Oh, yes, you better believe they are. And there's
but
a
it's
video
more than
out.
that. It's more than that too, because there's all kinds of DNA here. The giants weren't reptilian.
Let's not talk about the DNA for a second. We'll cover that if you want to, but I want to go down and finish this line of thought. There was a banker from the Netherlands. This is a guy that made himself up to be a world mover and shaker, and made transactions for the big boys, controlled money flow, and he had a seat on the exchange, one of the exchanges, and he was told that he had to be cold-hearted and ruthless in order to survive what he was about to go do, and he was up for the game. And he was cold-hearted and ruthless. And the people that he was working for thought he was doing a good job, and they wanted to bring him into their inner circle. And they invited him to a satanic church ritual. And so he went along with it, and he thought he was quite amused because there was lots of naked women going through sexual rituals, and this was all part of their culture. And so then they got him a little bit deeper, and they wanted him to participate in a child sacrifice, and he couldn't get past that, nor could he get that out of his mind. And that's what broke him.
He paid a lot getting out of that too.
Yeah, that's what actually broke him. He finally got some little stir of consciousness, and what he had said, and this is a guy that was in the inner circle. He said that there was approximately 8,000 people who are all Satanists who control what's going on this planet.
That's right.
So now when you try to say, oh, the aliens are going to save us, well, which ones? You talking about Christ and the armies of heaven, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords? Or are you talking about somebody from Alpha Centauri, or from Beta, or from the Sirius star system? Or, I was thinking about this too, Barry. And most people have no concept that we live in a 10-dimensional multiverse, and that these alien life forms that we're dealing with are actually interdimensionals. So if you can't have if you don't have the concept of a multiverse, well, we all have the concept of a universe. So, we come from this galaxy, or we come from that galaxy. So now, now we can conceive you. But we're all thinking 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
And it's not a 3-dimensional situation.
That's right. And that's where Bigfoot comes from. You talk about the Nordics, right? There you go.
Talk about all of them. They can claim whatever backstory they want. I love the backstory for the Galactic Federation of Light. You know why I love their backstory?
Oh, yeah.
I wrote it. I wrote their backstory. It's in Letters to Earth. I wrote it 2 years before they came out on the internet. Had no idea that they existed, and yet I wrote their backstory. I wonder if whoever created the Galactic Federation of Light read Letters to Earth. The future is yours.
I don't know, but they start off with this Gaia stuff. I got no idea what that is, and it looks a hell of a lot like NWO to me.
Well, of course it is.
Gaia is what they consider Earth energy.
And it all goes it's all combined. This is again a UN agenda. And what they would like to do, the UN's been working on a one world religion since the 1950s. I think since 1957 they've been working on this.
No.
And the final product is supposed to be a combination. Excuse me?
It makes you look at 1984 George Orwell,
Yeah.
Well, what happens when
it's
the
a bestseller
Lutherans,
again.
The Catholics make peace with the Lutherans and they agree? Cut it out. This is not right. There was religious persecution. There's a reason why Protestants came over here and settled. I mean, this is all about religion. And it's all about who was controlling who.
Let's go right back to one thing that has become a major situation, and that is everything has INC after it. Inc. Incorporated.
Yeah.
The Romans invented incorporation,
Yes,
and the Catholic Church perfected it.
That's right.
And the Catholic Church is the mother of all corporations. I don't care whether it's the United States of America, Inc. Incorporated, which owes over $20 trillion in debt to somebody.
Right.
But, here's the thing. The United States of America Incorporated, when it was incorporated in 1871, is bankrupt. The Republic of the United States of America is not. And it is supposed to be alive and active, so we shall see. But you want to get
redistribution, yeah.
So,
and that reset has happened, believe it or not.
Well, so they say, but we haven't seen it yet.
Well, I hear it from the people over there in Europe and beyond. They're like, it didn't turn out as good as we thought it was going to. They've already gone through it. We're the dumbasses over here in America.
They're wondering why we haven't rebelled yet.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting here wondering why they haven't broken out into complete civil war over in Europe yet. Seriously. I mean, officially, the world entered a new world war. Everybody's talking about World War III. We're already in World War III. It was declared in 2014 by the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
The United Nations, the General Assembly of the United Nations in September of 2014 declared world war against extremism.
Yeah.
Putin, just this past month.
Boy, that sounds pretty extreme.
Well, Putin, we talked about this. Yeah, it is. Well, they had to be. They had a lot of pressure from all the Islamic states because this whole world war against extremism was to stamp out extremist religions.
Oh, the hypocrisy.
And well, here you go. Russia, the day after, it was April 6th that Trump gave the order. April 6, 2017, Trump gave the same order as Woodrow Wilson did on April 6, 1917, to the Navy to open fire. Yeah, and that's what brought the United States into World War I, and it brought the United States officially into World War III.
So who opened fire and where did it happen?
Well, in 1917, Woodrow, on April 6th.
No,
Woodrow,
recently.
Oh, recently? That's when Trump turned around and had told the Navy to launch those cruise missiles at that empty airport or airfield over in Syria. He called up the Russians, get your butts out of there. We're going to blow it up. It was a symbolic entry of World War III, right on the anniversary date. Now, what happens on April 7th?
Yeah.
Russia declares Jehovah's Witnesses an extremist religion and bans them.
And what else?
Wait a minute. When's the last time a Jehovah's Witness strapped a bomb on themselves and ran into a cafe and yelled Allah Akbar and blew themselves up?
Yeah, and what happened on the 6th and 7th? I mean, Syria took one of Israel's jets right out of the air. 3 of them went over and one of them didn't make it out.
Yep, and now we have Trump going on his first international tour. If I recall correctly, he's going to the Vatican, Israel, and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So now,
we talk about the axis of evil, and I mean, and his cabinet is full of the enemy.
We're going to have
no Trumpers there.
We're going to have to see if he gives the Pope the same handshake he gave Merkel.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting combination.
I give him credit. He did call Macron and congratulate him on his win.
Hey, let me point something out here. While Syria was being bombed by the Navy, Trump was having dessert with President Xi of China. And Trump was bragging about the delicious chocolate cake that they were having.
Yeah.
And so Xi goes back to China, and he turns around and he stops a shipment of coal from North Korea sends it back, and he accepts a shipment of coal from the United States, and then he turns around and sticks 150,000 troops right along North Korea's border with China.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
it's not going to be the same game that they played back when the Korean War went hot back in the 50s, because then China was on the side of North Korea because they were fighting for communism. This is for
They'll cut 'em
global
off.
domination. Yeah. This is it. You guys come in, and China, this past week, last week, has ordered all of their citizens out of North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but who's China's bread and butter? Hello.
You mean
I
who's
think
North
we might
Korea's
have something to do with that.
Russia.
Well, Russia and China both. China more so. And if Trump just turned around to Z and said, "You deal with North Korea, or we will." Now, here's the other side of the coin, Barry. And I hate to go there, but who's ever listening, listen carefully, because that article that I read before is serious. And we can blame an EMP on North Korea all we want, especially, now they got this secret satellite up there. There's actually 2 of them, so they can blow out different parts of the United States. We'll never know who actually tripped that button.
Yeah.
We'll never know. But I guarantee you it'll be blamed on North Korea. Now, you want to bring martial law to the United States?
Quick and easy way.
Yeah.
It's almost here now.
And then all those illegal aliens, and it doesn't make any difference what part of the country they come from, or whether they're the indigenous people right here in the United States, when those lights go out, the riots will begin and the cities will burn.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and the UN will be right behind all of it. They'll be carrying the leading torches. I can see it.
There was, it was about 6 years ago, I'm thinking, that somebody posted a picture of an old airport down. It was a military airport that wasn't being used anymore. It was in Jacksonville, Florida, or just to the south of Jacksonville. And when you went and looked on Google Earth, you could see all of these vans parked in all over the place. There was like hundreds of them. Right. And somebody had done a video on this, and they traveled the perimeter, and these were UN marked vans.
Yeah,
they had the UN symbol right on the side, and I was like, okay, let's check this out. And I went to Google Earth, and bang, I found it, and there they were. You could see them clear as day. Within 6 months, they were all airbrushed out of there.
Yeah.
Every single last one. The parking lot looked empty, but when you looked real close, you can see where they airbrushed them. Well, I say airbrushed, they digitally airbrushed them out.
Right. Photoshop.
It's like saying wiretap. There are no wiretaps because there aren't any wires. It's all fiber optic cable now. Somebody wants to wiretap your phone, they got to go to the pole outside.
Or wireless.
Yeah, we're all wireless. Pretty much, I'm wireless right now. I haven't had a wire connection in 5 years.
They got signal receivers, they got Stingray. Believe me, they got enough stuff to monitor you. As long as they know how to access your electronics, when you take that sucker with you, they'll be on you.
Yeah, so my word of caution is this. The danger is real. The danger is real. Be prepared. If you don't have enough groceries in the house to last yourself at least 3 months for you and your family, you're doing yourself a disservice, but you should have enough food for a year.
Yeah.
Even if it's only beans and rice, at least it's a complete protein.
That's what I was going to say, beans and rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't afford to stack my. Can you buy beans and rice? Can you store some gallons of water to cook it with?
Easily.
The stuff never goes bad.
Yeah. Nope. Wrap it up. Throw in an oxygen absorber, and wrap it up in plastic. And I'll see you next year, or 2 years, or 5 years from now.
Right.
As long as you don't get it, and you know what? Even if you do get bugs in it, so what? If you're starving, eat the damn bugs too.
Yep.
Well, a little protein,
Yeah. For
Well, yeah.
instance,
Well, no. It's like the old man said, man. There'd be bread. There'd be a little mold on it. He says, "Ain't gonna hurt you." He was right.
little
And he
penicillin.
grew up in Depression, World War II vet. Go ahead and eat it, man. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up because my grandparents, who came to this country from Germany, they came. My grandfather came in the fall of 1928. My grandmother in the spring of 1929. Great timing, gang. But they left Germany because of the depression that they had over there that hit them since World War I.
Yeah.
So had already experienced going through World War I, and then Germany having to make war reparations to the rest of Europe for the damage that they've done. It was a greatly depressed country, and coming to the United States was a great opportunity. They came here, they got jobs, they paid taxes, so they became productive parts of society. But I watched I listened to cholesterol commercials, and I watched the amount of fat that my grandmother used to eat, and it was like, my goodness, woman, she nothing would go to waste. The dog wouldn't even have a decent bone to gnaw on, but she went through that, and that's just what she learned, to consume everything.
Yeah.
Right.
She lived to 95 years old.
Yeah.
She must have eaten 2 tons of fat in her life, and that's probably an underestimation.
I recall my mother, she couldn't stand grape jelly. I remember when I was a kid, I says, "Why can't you eat this?" She says, "Oh, my God." She says, during the Depression, that's all we had eaten for years. Yeah. Grape jelly. Oh, she couldn't stand the smell of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, my family came here when it was worth coming, back in the 1400s.
my first aunt.
Right, gloater. You're a gloater. Get out of here with that. My grandparents are born in the 1890s and come over here, and about the same time Peter Kling's parents did. But
yeah. The only ancestry that it's actually a distant relative. There were 2 brothers that fled Germany during the Catholic War against the Kling family, and that's in actual truism. It wasn't actually a war. They just murdered the Klings wherever they could find us because of the stand that we denounced the church at the same time Martin Luther did. We helped hide Martin Luther while they were hunting for him, while he was translating the Bible from Latin into German, which was then later printed on the Gutenberg press. But those 2 brothers fled to Holland, and then from Holland they went to Philadelphia. And from Philadelphia, they pushed west toward what is now Pittsburgh. One of their sons, actually two of the sons from one of the brothers, was captured, and one escaped. The other one they didn't hear from for years. The younger one they never heard of again, hardly until years later he shows back up. And it turns out that, and I've told this story before not on this station though. It turns out that he was captured by the Seneca, traded to the Oneida Indians, and in the Oneida tribe, he became the chief. He is the only documented white man to become chief of a Native American Indian tribe. His name was John Peter Klingenschmidt. He was known as Chief Good Peter.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, but I knew
them.
I knew some of our family history, but I only found out the good stuff last year. The stuff that connected us back to the Reformation, and it's kind of odd in a peculiar way. But I'm connected to the Reformation in 2 different countries. My great-grandfather on my father's side, the Klings or Klingenschmidts, were from Eastern Germany that fled west. They married my great-grandfather married a woman whose family was they were French Huguenots who were fleeing the French Holy Wars going east. Yeah. So it's just interesting that the way that everything worked out, and it's all this, and it's not that they were establishing a new religion. They were exposing the lies of the church and seeking truth.
Right.
And here I am 500 years later doing the same thing. And here's another anniversary for you. there's two other things which are happening, which these are in September and October. September 18th through the 23rd, CERN is having their Awake Project meeting, and that is supposedly when they are going to try to open up a gateway to what sounds like Tartarus. If you don't know what Tartarus is, it's a dimension where the Watchers and all other sorts of nasties through biblical scripture have been put into. It's covered somewhat in the book of Enoch. But after the Watchers who fathered the Nephilim were taken from earth and thrown into Tartarus. And it's known as the abyss or the pit. So when we start doing the cross references for that, that unlocks a lot, or that starts a lot of biblical prophecies, very significant biblical prophecies, and what could be the coming of an antichrist system and a one world government. So that's on the list of things to come. Now this is interesting because on October 31st, you have the 500th year anniversary of the Reformation against the church. So is CERN going to unlock something which is going to cause a reformation against religion? Stay tuned for this one. Revelation 17, which deals with the destruction of religion, makes reference to an eighth king which comes out of the abyss. It ascends out of the abyss, rules for a short time, and goes off into destruction. Revelation chapter 9 talks about a fallen star which is given the key to the pit of the abyss, and he opens it and releases a plague upon this earth, a plague of what seems to be an alien invasion, and they have a king over them which is named as Apollyon. Apollyon is a god that is still celebrated and worshipped today. Look it up, do the research on Apollyon. Apollyon is known as the Destroyer. CERN uses the number 666 and the goddess Shiva, or the god Shiva, the Destroyer.
Speaking of CERN, Peter, there's another location out in the Middle East, I believe. Correct?
Well, I haven't confirmed that, but that's what you were mentioning the other day. Right. And I might add this. There's not just one Hadron Collider that CERN controls. There's lots of colliders that they control.
Small
and
ones.
Yeah, CERN is actually responsible for inventing the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Al Gore who made it available to everybody.
Tomorrow.
I thought that was Al Gore.
Al Gore. Al Gore was charged with making the internet available to everybody.
Yeah.
But it was CERN who invented.
We'll invite you in. We're doing you a favor. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
It was invented. The official word is that they invented it so they could communicate between universities where they were carrying on research. However, there's the flip side of that, because the military was using it too.
Yeah, this is more effective than television and radio. We got to spread this.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
and hence,
spread it like herpes. Right.
So it becomes
pardon
the
pun, but
worldwide.
open the gate. Yeah.
The World Wide Web. But here's something that happened out of this. And it's very significant, because out of the World Wide Web, the whole Earth, the whole planet started speaking one language again, and that language was binary. So I don't care if you live in China, or if you live in Africa, or if you live in the jungles of South America, if you have access to a computer, you are typing what. That's it. And so you can type me something in your native language, and I can copy that and go to Google Translate, and it'll translate it, and then I can write it back in my native language, translate it into yours, and send it back, and we can carry on a conversation, not knowing at all what each other was saying, just by looking at it, without having that access of the ones and zeros, that matrix.
Yeah.
So You know, this stuff is all culminating together. It's all coming together at the same time. And that's what makes this unlike any other time in history. People say, well, how do you know this is the time of the end? We've had earthquakes forever. We've had volcanoes forever. Yeah. How long have we had atomic warfare? How long have we had nuclear meltdowns? How long have we had weather control?
Center of attention in the Middle East.
Yeah. Whenever you see Jerusalem surrounded by encamped armies, know that the end is near.
That's right. And that's coming soon.
And they've been fighting over that property for how long?
They haven't. Well,
that goes
19 what, when the Balfour Declaration came out, right?
No.
No. Really?
No. Yes, really.
Let's hear it.
The fight over that property started 2,000 years ago. When General Titus came during the time of Christ, the reason why they wanted to make him king one week and killed him the next is because they were looking for somebody to liberate them from Rome. The Jews hated Rome. They couldn't stand Rome because they were under subjection.
Yeah, but
and
these are specifically the Khazarians. It was designed for the Khazarians. It's written in the agreement.
Hold on.
Verbatim.
Hold on. Let me bring you up to speed here. Here's what happens.
This is what makes you show. Go ahead.
Yep. Here's what happens. Yeah. Don't worry. The Zionists existed in the 1st century too.
I know.
Make no mistake about that. The Zionists existed during Jesus' day. But as a matter of fact, if you look at the historical accounts, there were all sorts of groups that were cropping up trying to put down Rome, and they were all claiming to have being part of that Zionist movement. But in 70 CE, General Titus comes in. He raises the city of Jerusalem, murders 2 million Jews, and takes about 93,000 captive back to Rome. Now, he did this during the time of Passover, so he got all the Jews together. Weren't too many missing from here. So now Judaism, or what is left of the nation of Israel, has all been repatriated to Europe. So there's 1,000 years that go on here that nothing happens, and then all of a sudden somebody gets the bright idea, let's go capture the Holy Land. And when they capture the Holy Land, they start digging under the temple. Now, how did they know that there was something to dig for? And this is something I brought up in Letters to Earth. And so I started doing research. Wow, it took forever. I can only find one piece of evidence that led to this. So I just made it alleged, because I look for always at least 2 or 3 different references to all the information that I put into Letters to Earth to make sure that it is accurate as possible. But I could only find one for this, and that was that the Knights Templar were headed, that the head of the Knights Templar were a Hebrew family, a family whose roots came from Jerusalem, a family who knew that there was something worth digging for, and it wasn't the Ark of the Covenant. There was something that was buried there, and nobody knows what it was. Some people believe that it was wealth. Some people say that it was knowledge, but knowledge is more than likely. Whatever was buried there, I'm sure it could have been the Kabbalah and sacred books and writings of that nature that are connected all the way back to Egypt. But whatever it was allowed the Knights Templar to transform Europe from wood buildings into edifices of stone that have not been seen since the Roman Empire. So and also the Knights Templar are credited with creating the middle class because of all the wealth that they brought in. So they're also credited with establishing the banking system. And when we look closer at the Knights Templar, we see 2 riders on 1 horse. Oh, these were poor knights. They didn't have any money, so they had to share a horse. No.
Well, from what I understand, hold on, Peter, unless I'm wrong, the Knights Templar, they had guarded the peasants throughout their journey.
They set up. Yeah, well, it wasn't the peasants; it was the pilgrims that were going in there. And
And
that was
then,
all
what was the king from France that disbanded them?
King
And they're
Philip the
pretty
Fair.
sure.
King
Okay.
Philip the Fair was cousins with the Pope. I forgot Pope Clement at the time. I think it was, who and he owed the Knights Templar vast amount of money. So he figured, well, if I can ban the Knights Templar, I don't owe them any money anymore.
Well, the big question is once they were so-called disbanded, where they go? Rumor has it Scotland. Who knows? I don't know.
Yes. Here's
Along
the
with the
thing. They were hoping to get all of the Knights. Yep. Well, that's a whole nother story. But okay, let's fast forward because we can follow the money. Always follow the money. When we follow the money, it brings us up to the 18th century. Yeah, well, almost. But what comes out of the 18th century are the German banksters, and it's actually the Bauer, Meyer Amschel Bauer. Was working for, I believe, the Oppenheimer family. I've got to go back and go read that again. It's been a while since I read that chapter. Right. Anyway, and that's when they changed the name. They learned their trade from the Oppenheimers, and they changed the name to Red Shield. It was originally Bauer, and then they changed it to Rothschild. And then they traded in antiquity, in coins, gold, silver, and antiquities, and they were trading with the royals of Europe, and that's how they got into the banking industry. They started making loans.
And the candy industry. That's where Rothschild made a ton of their money. $383 billion between 1.2 trillion. That's what they're worth.
But at the end. Well, that's only what you can see on paper. That there's a lot more that's held in corporations, which actually puts the number up over $500 trillion. Think about that. When you by the end of the Napoleonic War, though, the Rothschilds helped finance Napoleon. They actually did. They owned a gold mine in Spain, and they were actually financing both Napoleon's troops and Wellington's troops. Both. Napoleon made the agreement to hand over the Bank of France to the Rothschilds for doing that. Through the devastation that was carried out through Germany, the Rothschilds gained control of the Bank of Germany, and then by crafty, if you ever saw the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, where they have the whole orange juice scam on the commodities market. The Rothschild, that comes from what the Rothschilds did at the end of the Napoleonic War. Only Rothschild ships could go back and forth in the through the English Channel because it was blockaded, and they're the only ones that could go back and forth freely. And there was a Rothschild representative that got to London with news that Wellington had won. But what the Rothschilds did is they started selling off their war bonds, and they caused a run on war bonds. And so everybody was selling off their war bonds because they thought
rumor.
Yeah, they saw what the Rothschilds were doing, and everybody just dumped their war bonds. The next day, the Rothschilds had all their agents in place, and they started buying up the war bonds that people were dumping. Mm-hmm. They made 20-1 on their money, and they captured the Bank of England. 20-1 on their investment is what they made.
All depressions are organized.
The next step was to capture.
They're all engineered.
Yeah.
Every one of them are engineered.
So now when we look at yep, and when we look at the history, this is the worst family that ever existed on the planet. When we look at that history, that's where we get the start with the Balfour Agreement. But that comes, the groundwork is laid for that in 1897 with the first Congress of Zion. It was supposed to be held in Munich, Germany, but when the Orthodox Jews found out that the whole reason for the meeting of this Congress of Zion was to repatriate Jews back to the Promised Land, back to Palestine, there was such an uproar that they actually had to relocate the Congress to Basel, Switzerland, and it was Basel, Switzerland that the groundwork for World War I was laid. Then we get the Balfour Declaration. We also get the overthrow of the Russian government, and Meyer Amschel Rothschild's words to Tsar Alexander I come true when he says, "My descendants will see your descendants wiped off the face of the earth," because it was the Rothschilds and Oppenheimers that financed the Bolshevik Revolution using the Tsar's own money. And we know by history, Tsar Nicholas and his family were all put to death. And no, there was no Anastasia, sorry. That poor woman just had issues. They were all put to death. So the Tsar Alexander's family was essentially, his descendants were wiped off the face of the earth.
Well, it was Rothschild's brother-in-law that actually talked him into doing that declaration.
Yes, Lord.
Sister's husband.
Yeah, he actually wrote Lord Balfour. It was after England had Egypt, and during World War I, they pushed the Ottoman Empire, or the Turkish troops, all the way back up to Turkey, and they captured the Promised Land. And it was at that point that Lord Rothschild wrote Lord Balfour with the idea of repatriating the Jewish population back to their homeland, having Palestine be the homeland of the Jews. And Balfour took it before the king. The king turned the agreement into the declaration, and so it was said. The only thing is they didn't have anybody who wanted to move there. If you're living in Bavaria, why do you want to go live in the Middle East?
And a lot of them didn't. A lot of them didn't want to go, and they didn't go. They didn't go anywhere. They never even stayed home. They went that wherever it is they go, heaven, hell, they're gone.
Now here's the thing:
you
can't get them to move.
That. Yeah.
So what do? Hey, you have another world war. Yeah. There was several reasons for the Second World War, but it's interesting. The word Holocaust means whole burnt offering. Mm-hmm. This is something that in other words, when you threw your child into the arms and fires of Molech, it was a holocaust to Molech.
Right. Yeah.
Now, and wait, let's see. What's the star that flies on the flag of Israel? The Star of David? No. There's no such star ever existed. That right. Star is the star of Molech, or the star of Rumphin or Raphin. There's different translations in the word. It is the star of Molech. Go look it up. Has nothing to do with King David. King David would have turned around and put you to death for having that star on.
Right.
Absolutely. King David killed Molech worshippers, and then his son became one. Later on in his life, he just had a thing for women, and one of his wives was a Baal worshiper, and they set up a temple for Baal right in Israel, and so that was the start of the downfall of the kingdom.
Hey, you know what? We're getting up near the top of the hour here, and I promised I'd put in a plug here, and if you don't mind, I'd like to put in this plug.
Plug away.
We've been talking about here every now and then the help the Stop the 22 a Day, which is the 22 veterans with PTSD who commit suicide. Well, there's a group called Lift for the 22, and what they do is they go to various different gyms and they work with veterans with PTSD. They pay for their memberships, and it gives veterans with PTSD someone to talk to.
An outlet.
Exactly, it's an outlet. And a lot of the problems that these guys face is they don't have anybody to talk to. So, that's awesome. But you can find these people at liftforthe22.com. They also have a Facebook page. They take donations, of course. They're a nonprofit, 501c3, and they're out of Beaverton, Oregon. But I had to put that plug in there because this is really good for the veterans, and Personally, I don't have PTSD. I never did, so I can't say I know how these guys feel. But these guys that work with them at this Lift for the 22, they know how they feel. They've been through it. So, it's good to know somebody who's actually been through it and knows exactly what you're experiencing and how to deal with it.
Well, then especially we have Michael Bejas, who currently right now he's got us engineered, and through the help of Papa Bear as well. And he's on Michael said he's listening. He's on the backbeat here, but
and that's called
he's taking care of business.
liftforthe22.com, and they're also on Facebook. And this is also Lupus Awareness Month, okay? If you have lupus, you're well aware of it. If you don't know what lupus is, now is the time to find out. Okay, it's Lupus Awareness Month. No hints, I'm not going to tell you. Go look it up. There you go.
Michael's currently dealing with that as well with his migraines, and he's buffaloed over right now. And he's fighting through it. He could have put on a replay, and he says, look, guys, and I know he's listening. Michael says, hey, look, I don't want to see a replay. He says, I've gone through too much, struggled through this, to make this show happen. So he's sitting there taking care of business behind the scenes, even though you don't currently hear him right now. He is indeed currently with us as we speak, and he does indeed have lupus, and he's dealing with a lot of issues right now. A lot of migraines and stuff going on in regards to him, and kudos to him for sticking this out and saying, hey, guys, I'm going to make this happen. I need a little help, but I'll back you guys up. And shout out to a buddy of mine who's currently out there. Hi, how's he? And one of the guys who's a big supporter of us, and old David. David's awesome. But anyways, moving along, what about 6 minutes away from a break? Unless, of course, Michael takes us here now.
I'll tell you what. Let me just finish this up because I'm going to tie it into something very, very pertinent. We talked about the Rothschilds getting this far. Great grandma Rothschild said, "If my sons did not want war, there would be none."
That's right.
Now, let's see. North Korea doesn't have a central bank. Syria doesn't have a central bank. Iraq doesn't have a central bank. We have a situation going on. Remember I said two riders on the same horse, and they invented the banking system? Who controls the banking system today? The Jesuits and the Zionists.
Mm-hmm.
And now, here's an interesting little factoid. The Jesuits... The Jesuits...
More.
The Pope is a Jesuit Pope. He's a false Pope. Now, here's an interesting thing. The Vatican has had control of the White House since Ronald Reagan. Reagan was a Knight of Malta. They've all been Knight of Maltas except for Obama, who had a letter of endorsement from the Knight of Malta. Obama was an illegal president. I don't care what anybody says, and that might come out yet. Who knows? Who cares? He's gone now. He's already left his legacy, which is destroying this country. Trump changed that.
Wow.
Trump changed that. He is not controlled by the Vatican. You better look to the Zionists for who's controlling Trump. So the Vatican no longer controls the president of the most powerful country on the planet. It might be the Zionists.
We lost all of this. We lost our whole government in 1861. We've been gone for a long time. So this country was never legit.
Well, it just sets things up with everything that we have going on in the world. I said this several years ago that we're going to see one of those riders try to kick the other rider off the horse to stay in control. And according to the protocol of the learned elders of Zion, and this was something that I quoted right within Letters to Earth, is that the only competition that the Zionists feel that they have are the Jesuits. But now there's one kicker in here. The Dragon family gold.
Yep.
There's also prophecies that talk about the King of the North, which is historically always north of Israel, which could be Russia, China. There's also the prophecy within Revelation chapter 16, verse 12, where it talks about the power of the Euphrates drying up, making way for the kings of the rising of the sun. So east of the Euphrates.
That would be.
And we saw that. We actually saw that prophecy happen with, it would be Iraq and then India and China and all those Far East countries, and really the Dragon family gold, which is supposed to be resetting or doing away with the debt system if they ever roll it out. Who knows? People want it. Let's get rid of the debt system. What a great idea.
It's out.
Well, wait when it really gets enforced sometime within the next 18 months. Yeah,
it started with the SDRs. Now it's going to go to the banks.
My dollars are still worth money. Yeah, the dollars are still worth $1. They're not worth what they were 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 50 years ago, but it hasn't crashed.
You're breaking up bad, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
The dollar still has value. It's still considered an international currency, even though
it isn't.
Plug is being pulled on it.
No, it's
still
gone.
being traded.
No, SDRs are being traded. SDRs, special drawing rights.
I don't know what else to say about that unless I restart the computer again. But I don't have any bandwidth here.
You can do that during break, man.
Yeah.
Go look on the currency exchange and see what the dollar is trading at. When you start to see the dollar trading with we're not talking about pesos here. We're not talking about yen. These are dollars.
We're talking about special drawing rights.
Hold on. Here's my question. What, the paper dollar or that coin dollar?
Trade is no longer being done in dollars. It's special drawing rights and has been as of May 1st. Anyway, it's about break time.
Yep. Yes, it is.
The rising rate of autism is not just concerning, it's a disaster. No matter what the cause of it is something that everyone should be acutely aware of and actively helping out those in the community that have it. That is why Adventures in Autism was created. Adventures in Autism is a show inspired by our life with our son Seth, and the many experiences his autism has brought to our lives. Each episode, we bring you the topic of the week, news about autism, and resources to help you and your family or friends out in their own adventures with autism. Tune in Mondays at noon and midnight on lnmradionetwork.com or openeyesnetwork.com and get involved in the community. Let our experiences be an inspiration to you.
Attention L&M Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the L&M Radio Network by calling 605-562-4203? No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the L&M Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on latenightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall. The Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network is deeply devoted to you, the listener. We feel it is necessary to bring you all of the information that you can use in your life. Each and every day you will find something to listen to here. And whether you come away from the shows informed, inspired, or entertained, it is our passion. We don't bow to corporations, and we don't have handlers to tell us what not to talk about. We bring you everything. Late Night in the Midlands, however, is fully listener supported. We need your help to stay on the air and to make sure that we get the bills paid. We need your help to keep the truth alive. If you feel that you have gotten anything out of Late Night in the Midlands, we would appreciate your support. You can become a subscriber and help us out on a monthly basis, or if you'd like, a one-time donation is fully appreciated as well. Every year, the average household in America spends over $3,000 on entertainment alone. If you could help us with just a tiny fraction of that amount, you would make all of the difference. Go to latenightinthemidlands.com and click on the subscribe button. Thank you, and as always, keep yourself informed.
Nobody's a typing guy. Yeah.
Welcome back to Show Us Don't Tell Us on the L&M Radio Network. I'm Papa Bear. Welcome, guys.
And I am indeed Skillzzz, I tell you. Good heavens, is Peter back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
Did you get that straightened out?
That handsome devil.
It sounds a lot better now. Yeah, as you mentioned before, I was breaking up there, and I said, yeah, it's because I'm telling the truth. Once you start telling the truth, Skype starts breaking up.
Yeah, speaking of breaking, just before the break, we talked about the money. The international currency trade is in SDRs, or special drawing rights, and they're backed by a basket of commodities along with gold. So it's no longer the faith and credit of the American people, and it's no longer the dollar They're using special drawing rights, and that started the 1st of this month.
I understand that, but the dollar is still being traded. It still has value, and we're still saddled with, well, yeah, but we're still saddled with all of the debt that has been put upon us by all the junk bonds that they invented over the years. All of the, you've got what, I don't know, I've read everything between 1.4 and $2 quadrillion worth of debt. It's like, how do they get that much?
Right, but the dollar isn't backed by anything.
Right.
No, the dollar's backed by air.
It hasn't been since 67.
It's debt. It's not redeemable at all.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
Barry,
they're IOUs. You know
we
that.
Could start our own currency.
You could.
Yeah. You know,
absolutely.
The Federal Reserve ain't gonna like it one bit, and they'll try to arrest us and put us out of business as quickly as possible. But there's actually a town out west. I forget the name of the town, but they invented their own town dollars. So, and if you use the town dollars, you know, you go there.
For barter, Peter. That's right. That's how you go about it.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's a whole currency that they're using specifically in New England. You know, for the New England states, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. It's its own currency.
Hey, well, maybe we'll transfer over to that one day. We'll have to find out.
You have to keep it isolated, though. Otherwise, if you just let some jack just start printing money, then there you have it.
Well,
but you see, we could print up money between, you know, let's say the three of us here, or four of us, and we can say, okay, well, you know, if I'm doing something for you, you can pay me you can pay me my own dollars, right?
Yeah. And you could absolutely do that. You absolutely
our own system, correct? Yeah. Our own system.
Yeah.
Isolated with 4 people, 3 people.
Yeah, and but you gotta have to build it up to a bigger ring. So that, I mean, the bigger the circle gets, the more people are going to use the currency. The more reliable the currency is, the more you can cut out the other stuff.
Right. It's a bartering, for God's sakes. If you bring back bartering, look, if you bring back bartering, you eliminate the whole tax system, the whole IRS, the mother hen, and all that bull crap.
That's right.
Here's an interesting little factoid. Since Maine has passed Proposition 1 and has made cannabis or marijuana legal for recreational use, everyone in the state can grow 6 plants. They can have 6 plants in bud. I believe it's 12 immature plants and an unlimited amount of seedlings. Now, you can have a maximum of 2.5 ounces on you. You cannot sell it for Federal Reserve notes.
That's right.
But you can barter it. You can barter it for goods. So it's like,
okay, hey, that works, right?
And that's the stipulation. Anything bought with Federal Reserve notes is subject to tax.
That works.
Yeah. So now you've got to
barter.
What Maine has done is given everybody an opportunity for a limited cash crop.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, then you go to that local farmer. Hey, good heavens, slaughter that cow, or I'm sorry, that steer, and we could, and we're good to go. You're good to go.
Trade you beef for beets, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's
but
not a frickin' Einstein.
If you don't have the commodities, though, you're not going to get it. Otherwise, other than that, it's labor, you know?
Yep.
But you know, special drawing rights are the same way because they count on that stuff growing every year. So
now, when they collapse the debt system is going to be something totally different. If they collapse the debt system,
barter will still be good.
Yes, I agree. But when they get rid of the debt,
disagree with it.
Well, there's 2 things that have to happen. They have to collapse that debt system, and we have to get a one world or a regional currency. In other words, euro. I don't know if anybody remembers the Amero. They're still around, but that was supposed to be a currency that was going to be used between the United States, Canada, and Mexico.
It's a novelty.
Well, it was.
They're still selling them.
Yeah, had 2001, September 9/11, had that turned into a major war, it would have accelerated everything a lot quicker. You can talk to some experts. As a matter of fact, Marshall Masters, somebody who a lot of people may know, he actually was working for Hewlett Packard to prevent the Y2K problem. He said it was a serious issue. This wasn't just a bunch of baloney. It was a serious issue. And that was something that was probably put in there to cause, if you had all the computers shut down around the world on Y2K, guess what that would cause? Everybody would lose everything. So all the bank accounts go to zero, everything goes to zero, and that's the end. That's the end of everything. So now they get to roll out a one world currency or a regional currency like the Amero.
Right,
but that didn't happen. That was prevented. So there's still that fight that's going on back and forth.
Yeah, the Ameros are still for sale. They were a novelty coin. They are
novelty,
but they do have. You can call it a novelty coin, but as I understand,
only
a boatload of them.
Yeah, but only the mint.
They have $100 trillion. I mean, I'm sorry. They're holding $1 trillion in debt in Ameros, if I recall correctly.
I've never seen that many Ameros. I've only heard a rumor of it. I never even saw a picture of it. But there is a man who sells Ameros, and they are a novelty. And some years, there was 2 years, he ran out. He couldn't make enough. So he's a small guy. It's just not very big. They're making their own coins. But yeah, it's and as far as I know, they're still selling them. They've been selling them for a few years running. It was it's the alarmist thing. It really is. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Peter.
Well, I just have to see how. Well, I know what to tell me. I know what to tell me exactly. Become as independent as we can.
Right.
Become as totally independent as we can. Yeah. If you can grow your own food, you can make your own clothes, make your own clothes.
Right.
Self-sufficient. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Yes. Self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Because if we become self-sufficient, one of the reasons going off grid is I know what's coming. Guess what? If I turn the lights out and learn how to live with the lights out, when everybody else gets their lights turned out, it doesn't bother me any now, does it?
Right.
Yep.
And my lifestyle's already changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting to go home. Speaking of which, we might get one more show with me on it before I go home. So.
Right.
Hey, what? I'm jealous.
This way, huh?
I'm jealous because we're stuck in this environment, and you're going to be off into the north. Yes.
I'll tell you, I've never felt so free in my life. It's going to be a logistic pain in the behind to get everything up there. I mean, it's not just hauling the trailer up this time. It's doing a 2-house move.
You're going full blown this time.
Yeah. So
you're going full blown. See, now getting rid of the cell phone to a certain extent, only to perhaps check it one time a day. Outside of that, no TV, no radio. See you. Good night, Gracie. And you're on the land. Period.
Now, if you're looking for Ameros, there's a website called dc-coin.com, and you'll find them there. It's the Moonlight Mint. It's made by Daniel Carr. And these are his own designs. And yeah, he sells them, and your 2016 Ameros are sold out, obviously.
Interesting.
But now, that's the website right there.
Is he making them out of silver or? You know what? What's he making them out of here?
Well, they're concept currency mintage figures is what they call them.
Okay.
And
so they're just going to have some intrinsic value.
Yeah, I'm looking at the paper right. I mean, well, yeah, they are coins. One troy ounce of gold is the 2012 to 2016 1,000 Ameros, they call it. A set of 5 is 1 troy ounce of gold. There's a copper Amero, semi-proof like. There's silver, copper.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're gonna buy something, and you live in the United States, buy American Silver Eagles. If you live in Canada, buy Canadian Maple Leafs.
That's all I buy. Yep,
Yeah,
93.9.
Yes.
Yeah, some people buy the rounds, They don't have a date on them or anything like that. They don't say $1 on them, but they are a
Well,
full ounce.
yeah. Here's the way I look at it. If you buy an American Silver Eagle, which is printed, or I say minted by the U.S. Treasury Department,
99.9% bullion. It's still
Yep.
good.
Yep,
Yeah, but they all are.
It's
Yeah.
right on there. But here's the thing about the American Eagle. It's easily recognizable as a American silver dollar. You look at that and you say, "Yep,
Right.
that looks like the one that my great granddaddy gave me." You know,
Yeah.
they are very distinct. You've got Lady Liberty on one side, Flying Eagle on the other side, hence the name
Right.
Silver Eagle. They also make gold eagles, but it's distinct. If you're in
Yeah.
Canada and you've got the ancestry to the Canadian maple leaf, you want to get some of those if you can afford to buy them.
Yeah.
The American Eagles are running about $20 a piece. Barry, we had this conversation the other day.
No, it's
So
under that.
16 and change
30.
for silver right
Yep,
now. And
yep,
it's been
yep.
that way for the last 3 days. So if you're going to jump now.
It's now's
Yeah.
the time to buy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might find silver come down about another penny, but I think that's probably going to be about the bottom of the market.
It's been
There's
bouncing
strong
back and
support.
forth a penny for 3 days now, and I've only seen this happen once before. So yeah, 16, low 16, that's about bottom. You're not going to get it much cheaper than that. If it hits 15 again, I'd be surprised.
Well, here's the thing. With Stu Shear, I'm going to give a shout out. Stu Shear, Money and Change on L&M Radio Network. Him and I Robinson that does their current podcast. Now, like Stu says, well, silver is indeed the cheap man's gold. It is indeed. However, here's something to keep in mind, which he's headed in the right direction, and the reason being is because, okay, let's say gold doubles. I'm going to tell you what, silver might go 10, 15 times fold. So,
yeah,
where
proportionately, silver is way undervalued according to its weight. Yes, and the supply.
Yep.
And according to the debt clock,
the other side of that.
According to the debt clock, the amount distributed by the amount we have, you're looking at a proportionate measure of roughly $800 per ounce.
That's not too bad.
No.
Here's a little inside information from one of the richest families on the planet. No, they're not the Rothschilds. This was told to me several years ago. Buy silver. Make your investments in silver, not gold.
No.
Silver.
You're not a king.
Yeah.
You don't need gold.
Not only that, but silver is so much easier to barter with and change out. Otherwise, you walk in there with an ounce of gold. Oh my God! Well, I'm only buying 5 loaves of bread here on exchange, and a few gallons of water, and this and that, and you got to change that out. No, you give them a silver frickin' dollar, and I'll tell you, you can't change that. That's fine. I will fulfill what I came here for, and here's your dollar. Give me my groceries. I'm out of here. We're good to go.
And you see, the problem with gold is, why I like silver over gold. I don't have $250 to throw down on a gold dime piece. In other words, a gold coin, it's the size of a dime. It goes by weight. Nor do I have $1,200 to throw down on a gold dollar.
Right.
Well, here's the other thing, Peter, which I discussed with Stu. We had a little round table last night. You recall that. And I brought this up. You can get like 10%, 20% gold. Well, who's to judge how much gold is currently involved in that coin, as opposed to dropping down a silver 99.9% bullion silver dollar? Game over. Done. You know what you have. You know what I'm offering.
We did the math on this, right?
Yeah.
We did the math on this. Now, you think about it. You're going to spend, what, $1,200 for a $20 gold piece? $20 for $1,200, right? Or you can get 20 silver dollars for $320.
Right.
So you've got $1,200 or $320 at face value. Okay? I know what I would buy. I really do.
Yep.
I'd buy the silver.
It's a no-brainer. Unless somebody knows something we don't currently know, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I forget which American founded bank it was that actually. I'll look this up here in a second. That they're one of the major banks now, but they've always hedged in silver. They buy as much silver as they can, and that's what saved them.
One of the Dakotas is going strictly. One bank in one of the Dakotas. I don't know if it's north or south, but there's a bank that trades strictly in silver and gold. Yeah, and actually Texas is on their way to do it too. But then again, that's what's coming in.
Yeah, it's actually J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan hedges. They hold massive amounts of silver. They will buy up virtually everything that they can get their hands on, and they've been in the silver buying program for quite some time. The federal banking system is, they all look for gold, but J.P. Morgan has put their money in silver.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Or so I understand.
And I've seen future quotes of anywhere from $200 to $2,000 on silver. So,
the problem is
anything's possible.
You don't want to sit back and try and guesstimate / on these so-called on the multiplication factor behind silver as opposed to gold. How's that sound? I spoke my piece.
Yeah, here's a little headline from 2 weeks ago, April 27th, 2017. Why is J.P. Morgan trying to corner the silver market? That's the headline. And so it goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing now because I haven't even read it once myself. But they're talking about silver versus gold, and there's a lot more money to be made in the silver market if you were looking at that for long term, and yet it'll still hold its value.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, multiplication factor. I'm telling you, gold multiplies if it multiplies 2 times. Silver multiplies perhaps, 5 times. Oh, man, that's a win-win. 5 times, man. Are you kidding me? Cheap man's gold. Good to go. I'm good to go.
There you go.
Yep.
Silver is one of your gentlemen, right?
But, here's the thing. You cannot eat silver. So before you start investing in silver, go invest in some food, whether it's planting a crop in your backyard or buying freeze-dried food, whatever the case might be.
That goes without, for God's sake.
You would think so. You would think so. But, how many people turn around and look at investments? We tend to put blinders on it. So you look at an investment, and if you're the one that's doing the investing and looking at, gold and silver and different options like that, are you too the same one that's looking at buying food, or is that handed off to somebody else? Yeah. So I always, the scripture says they will throw their gold in the streets. It will become an abhorrent thing to them. So it will lose its value totally eventually.
Yep.
And what would make gold lose its value? Not being able to buy anything to eat with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone, invest in silver, and as a matter of fact, one of the guys I work with, he had a fantastic idea, and he's done this on a continuous basis. He's gone to the dollar store, and he makes up little kits. Razor blades, toothbrushes, toothpaste, a little bit of Kleenex, toilet paper, whatever you have. And he's rat-holing them. Makes up a package, rat-holes it. Makes up a package, rat-holes it. That is bartering right there.
Absolutely. Matches, toilet paper, cigarettes, coffee. That's the stuff you got to be able to trade.
Yep.
And and the thing is, with gold, the value of gold is going to be so high that nobody's going to want to sell you that much worth of stuff. You're going to say, no, I don't have that much. I'm not going to do it.
Well, not only that, what you're trying to say is how do they change that out? Okay, hey, I showed up with a ounce of gold. It's like, dude, well, that's fine. You want to clean me out, back it in. Otherwise, I'm going to change that out.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing. How do you change out? See, if you look at it, silver,
tell you.
that's easily changed out. But
I'll tell you how you do it. Yeah, I'll take your gold coin and I'll give you change in silver.
yeah, grab your wheelbarrow.
No. Dollar for dollar at face value was printed on it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you're talking, a gold piece is a $20 piece, all right? This is what you're looking at. All right? And a silver is a $1 piece. So you've got $20 in one hand or $1 in the other. If they give you change for a 20 with ones, you're obviously going to lose a whole lot getting rid of that gold. So it depends on which way you're trading it. If you're buying it with silver at face value, what's printed on it, you're going to rob them. If you're selling it, you're going to get robbed.
Yeah, it'd be like purchasing something with nickels.
Yeah.
Even though it costs more to make a nickel than it does to,
Yeah.
Oh, good hell. They still make them. I don't understand why they still make pennies, even though they're half aluminum, as opposed to pre-1982 with copper. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I sort the pennies out. I'm saving the cost.
I know you do.
Yeah, buddy.
3 to 1.
You feel like and. Yep.
And the nickels nobody looks for silver nickels. They made them only 3 years. They're real easy to spot. Now, I'm not going to tell you the secret. I'm going to collect as many as I can.
He's not going to show you his fishing hole.
Peter, you're quiet.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I talked a bunch already. You guys are carrying the conversation here. I'm just thinking of the next place I want to go. It's like, and I'll go back to becoming as self-sufficient as you can become self-sufficient.
Well, right. You're right, Peter. There's no doubt in our minds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're going to if you have the opportunity, if you can, and you live in a major populated area, move to a less populated area. Yes. It'll be more easy to become self-sufficient.
You don't have to worry about the robbers.
It is. You're 100% correct, Barry. It is, and I feel for your situation. And this isn't something that I just decided to do yesterday. This is something that started in 2011. It was when I got a knock on my door, and next thing I knew, I was facing 9 to 21 years for something I didn't do, all based on conspiracy theory because I wrote a book.
Really?
Yeah, I knew it was time to leave Dodge, and their final words to me were pretty much the same thing. We hope you can sell your land and go to your new place as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that started overnight, and so this has been something in the works, and we've been looking for a specific piece of land with specific qualities. We just happen to pick one in the friggin' snow belt of Maine, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
We'll always have plenty of water, and water that goes down into the water table, not that just runs off, because you got a rain.
And you'll get 4 good summer months.
Yeah, well, Barry,
you guys aren't terribly far from each other. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, we went down.
Miles.
I'm sure you know where Farmington is. We do most of our major shopping down in Farmington. You typically, we'd work a half a day on Sunday and then head, get cleaned up and head into town, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I made several times. I made comments to my son. I said, "I can't believe this is Maine. This is more like being in Miami, except there's no palm trees around. But just the weather, my dad used to love the deep sea fishing, so we'd go down to Miami Beach quite often. And just the evening air just had that typical quality, and it was just like so warm, right there at the town of Farmington. It's not, I think it's like 7,000 people, I think, live in Farmington. But it just didn't feel like Maine. It felt like Florida. No, I'll
yeah,
wait for us to go subtropical. That's all.
Farmington's not all that flat. It's not like Florida. You know?
No, it's not. But it just felt that way. Just the air temperature, the humidity, just everything. And I just, usually I don't care what time of the year is, you're gonna put long sleeves on at least in the.
Yeah, I'm about an hour south of Farmington.
So, but I didn't experience this. This is really the first time I spent a full summer up in Maine, and it was just great. Since I was a kid, and it was like, boy, this just isn't what I remember.
Right?
It was just have to wear long sleeves.
Yeah, well,
I got pictures of me and my brother when we were kids. We were up. I think it was in July. We were up at Moosehead Lake, and there we are in flannel long sleeve shirts.
Past couple summers, the air conditioner. Past couple summers, the air conditioner has been a good thing, and usually before that, you never needed one up here.
Sure. Well, the Earth is tilting.
Yeah,
it is tilting.
Well, it's wobbling.
Yeah.
It's more than a wobble. It's. I had a friend that actually did a video, and he got the bright idea of going to one of NASA's satellites that just it just focuses on Earth and watches Earth spin basically, and year over year from 2015 to 2016, you could see that the Mediterranean Sea has moved significantly.
Yeah.
So it actually dropped down more over the last year.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. The satellite is stationary. Why is the Earth tilting? But yeah, it's picked up a wobble too. There's no doubt about it. And the electrical field is all messed up.
And the poles are splitting, right?
And if you haven't, it's coming out the sides. And here's the other side of the coin. We set a new record yesterday, or yesterday or the day before. I should have checked the actual date, darn it. But whatever. Within the last 72 hours, we set a new record. That is the Schumann resonance of Earth was recorded at 110 hertz.
I thought I had 100.
That's audible.
Yeah, listen to it scream.
Yeah. That's 110 hertz is audible. You can hear it.
Now that may explain the noise that I heard a couple of nights ago. It was just, you know what those trumpet sounds or bugle sounds that you've heard.
Yes.
It was similar to that, but it was at a very low. I can't even explain it. It was a very low vibration. You could hear it, and it did have pitch to it, but it wasn't like bass.
You know where most of those trumpet sounds came from?
I thought drilling.
Plow blades cleaning up parking lots. And a lot of people just pasted them into a picture and asked if you could hear it, and it wasn't there at all. Yeah, that comes from plow blades scraping across parking lots. Pushing the snow. I heard it up here in the Walmart in the parking lot last winter. I'm like, yeah, there you go. There it is right there.
Yeah, well, we didn't have any plow blades out pushing snow last week. Last week or the week, I believe it was the week before that I actually heard it. I was out one evening. I just heard this low, it was just low-pitched sound, and it just went on for like way too long. And we didn't have, the snow has been gone for almost a month now.
Right, but I'm talking about the high-pitched horns that they hear.
Oh, yeah, no, this wasn't high-pitched. This was just the reverse. It was low, but it wasn't like bass. It sounded almost like a horn, but it was, I mean, not like the car horn or train horn, but that type of tone, but very low.
Right.
But anyway, it almost sounded like the earth was squeaking. If you want to know the truth, that's almost what it sounded like. Like it was a groan almost.
Right.
We're gonna see a lot of strange things going on. I keep on looking for signs in the heavens above. We have plenty of evidence here on Earth, and that's actually a prophecy. There will be signs in the heavens above and evidence on the earth below, and we're actually seeing that evidence. Somebody had made the statement. Well, I forgot who was it. Ira last week about no, maybe it was somebody on one of Michael's shows where the ice shelf, another ice shelf down in Antarctica, has broken, and it's not because of it's not necessarily global warming, but they said it was thermal venting. Here's another thing: if the oceans are getting deeper, that means there's more pressure on the water pushing up on that ice. That can also break it off too. And here, but they made the comment that global warming, we see rivers. And I watched a video of rivers running across the top of the ice and making beautiful waterfalls down in Antarctica. So, yeah, the Antarctica is melting, and I'm pretty sure what they are
on
finding
one side, it's growing on the other.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, but it's it's melting. It's melting.
The North Pole.
We're seeing a lot of
sure. But the South Pole,
we're seeing. And it's not just the seasonal ice; it's the long pack ice that's been there that's vanishing. You know, you're going to get seasonal ice every year, depending on the temperature. It'll grow and shrink.
Well, yeah,
but it's shrinking more, and there's less of it. And now it's affecting Antarctica. Yeah. And I think this is one of the situations that's going on in Antarctica. You know, with all these important people going down there, and it's like, why are these people going there? And then all the conspiracy theories come up out of there from one thing after another, and all of Admiral Byrd's stuff comes out where he was fighting UFOs, and we got the Nazi.
And we lost a destroyer and a U-boat and took 5,000 troops down and came back 3 months early. Oh yeah.
And so we have something's down there.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Antarctica, if it's been covered with ice for who knows how long, but at least since the time of the flood, at least that long.
Right.
Everything that has been overgrown by jungles or has literally had the sands of time scoured away is all going to be pristinely preserved under those ice sheets, because the ice sheets aren't moving. The glaciers are, but the ice sheets, the stuff that's not sliding around on them, heading out toward the sea, the stationary stuff, which is just melting, those things are being exposed. And so now all of a sudden we've got pyramids and then giant holes in the wall and things of that nature. Now the truth is going to start coming out. And if there were, let's just take a look at Mesoamerica, because we know from the culture the massive sacrifices that they used to carry out, massive human sacrifices at these great temples. And then we get to, Alien versus Predator, where that whole thing is done. I believe that's the movie where they find this underground base that seems like something out of Mesoamerica, and the predators are going to go play with the aliens, and the humans get caught in the middle. What a great scenario! Get the humans in there to become to become hosts for the next batch of alien release, so that the predators can go in and wipe them out and become men predators. I don't know.
I'm sure there are great prophecies in movies and television, but I stay away from it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's actually what's going on there, but it would make sense. Here's the thing, Barry. On every continent, we have these massive structures. Some have been uncovered, some have yet to be uncovered. We've uncovered a lot of in Mesoamerica. We know that the Egyptian pyramids have been standing there since time indefinite. And all the stuff that they've dug out of the ground, and the Bosnian pyramids, the mounds that are in North America, which are thought to have pyramid buildings underneath them. It's like,
Right.
okay, these structures are all over, but they've literally been overgrown by the jungles. They've been blown away by the sands of time, or the forest has reclaimed them, but not in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Hey, right.
In Antarctica,
Well,
they may be pristine.
not to piss on Cheerios here, but guys, and what do we do with Fukushima?
What can you do?
What can you do? The technology does not exist, so they say, in order to clean that mess up for the next, let's say about 30 years. Yeah,
And
it'll be taken care of. But
yeah,
I just
read. A long time.
I just read again today, fish being caught on the Pacific coast all have radioactive material from Fukushima in them.
Yeah.
So every single fish
reefs
caught.
are gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
Now, so in other words, let's see. To protect ourselves, we will not eat what. I'm really curious in regards to these Bering Strait crab.
You're stuck on those things.
Yeah. No, I'm serious, man. What are they doing? Really?
Okay,
Well, we're still fishing for crab. Who's eating them?
Here's the thing: how far down are everybody who doesn't know better? I guarantee you, there's still a crab industry if there's still crabs.
Yeah, I don't touch that stuff.
Yeah, I love snow crab. I love king crab. I really question eating it. I haven't had it in quite some time, so I don't know whether. Yeah. Hey, believe it or not, that's actually why I own a Geiger counter. I like trying different foods and doing different things with foods. I like to cook. My chemistry days. And what I was doing, I was getting frozen salmon portions, and I would do them on the grill. Throw them out and do them on the grill. Well, one day I go and I get my frozen salmon portions here from the supermarket. I'll leave the supermarket nameless, but it's known coast to coast. And I go home and I go to cook my salmon portions, and one of the pieces is full of tumors.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, well, did you? No, I didn't send them out for analyzation, but I went online and I looked up salmon tumors, and yep, that's exactly what I was seeing in this fish. And after that, I was done with Pacific salmon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, good heavens! I mean, Pacific, yeah, and it's only a matter. It's been going on for 5 freaking years, man. 300,000 tons. Underground leakage. Coral reefs are gone. Baby seals have been found dead like there's no tomorrow. Now, what's the matter of time before it reaches the Pacific? And not only that, you have your jet stream and you have all kinds of stuff to look at.
It's affected both the northern and southern hemispheres in the Pacific Ocean now.
Isn't salmon a freshwater fish?
Both salmon, they spawn in freshwater. They stay in freshwater until they reach par size, and then they are out into the ocean. Usually, by the time they reach about between 6 and 12 inches, they start heading for the ocean.
And then they head back up at spawning time.
Yep, they come right back up to the same river that they were hatched out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Michigan, fellas. I mean, I got salmon all around.
That's cool. Where were you? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Fukushima is just more evidence, and I don't, hey, I don't care what anybody says. I'm the expert on biblical prophecy. And when I read Revelation, and this is very conceited and very self-centered, and might sound egotistical, but hey, let's look at what it says. Revelation chapter 8, verses 9 and 10 and 11. It says, and I'll paraphrase it, a star falls from heaven upon the earth, and it falls upon where? Upon the drinking fountains and upon the rivers of the earth, and it poisons a third of them. And the men drink from these fountains, and they get sick and die. And the star's name is Wormwood. And everybody says, oh, it's going to be an asteroid. Oh, it's Nibiru. Oh, it's this. No. The star's name is Wormwood, and yes, in Russian, Wormwood is pronounced Chernobyl, probably the first nuclear meltdown, which is still cooking away.
That was a kiddie park compared to this.
Exactly. Exactly. Compared to Fukushima,
Kiddie park.
Chernobyl didn't even exist.
Yep.
See, Russia putting up information on Nibiru.
Yeah, they've been doing that for quite some time.
Yeah, are you ready? It's coming. Right?
You know, if you want to talk about this for a moment, I was not a big fan of Nibiru when I was reading Zachariah Stitchin's work, and he was talking about this planet coming by and, you know, screwing with Earth. I was like, yeah, come on. This is just
2,600-year cycle, yeah.
Well,
that's what they say it is.
I couldn't prove any of that.
Right.
You know, that there was no hard evidence for it. So how am I going to believe something that there's no hard evidence for?
Right, exactly.
Okay. So when I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, if we're supposed to go through a shift, the only shift that we have that's recorded is within a Mayan legend, and that would be the 2012 event.
Right.
Okay, which
that's
then they say was
into Aquarius.
But now, well, on the Mayan calendar was the return of the snake god. But then they got it wrong and they said, "Oh no, it's not. Then it's going to be 2013 on December 16th." And we would have seen the sign of this of Quetzalcoatl, the snake god or the different names, different tribes of Mesoamerica. We would have seen that had Comet Ison not been destroyed. We would have seen that in the sky. It would have looked like a giant exclamation point because it would have sat right over the top of Venus on the 16th of December. So the 2012 prophecy, somebody forgot to carry the one, I guess, somewhere along the way. But that's where it winds up, is actually right on time. So this again, you know, and obviously Mayan prophecy has nothing to do with biblical prophecy, but I started, you know, I started re-looking at this, and you know, a scientist doesn't just a true scientist is continually looking for truth and looking for answers, and so that's why you have a thesis, and then you take your thesis is what you believe is the truth, and then you re-examine that and look for holes, and then turn the thesis into a theory. And so my thesis on Nibiru or Planet X may have been wrong because more evidence was coming up said a planet may exist. And when I went back to look at the scriptures, there's 6 scriptures that deal with the same thing that happens in Exodus, prophecies, old prophecies, dealing with a Nibiru type event.
Right. Yeah.
And so I can't get away from that. It's the same thing with Revelation chapter 9. I was looking for other explanations to Revelation chapter 9 besides CERN. But the more evidence that comes out on CERN, the more I'm looking at Revelation chapter 9 and I'm saying, oh, hell.
Right.
You
and
know?
the Mayan thing was only a calendar. I don't know. I don't know if there was any prophecy in it at all. Well, it was just a calendar.
It was just the return of Quetzalcoatl, the serpent god. It was the return of the serpent god is what it was, and it was also the progression of the equinoxes. Now now here we're going back and forth across the plane of the Milky Way of our galaxy, and so as we cross back and forth, we're going to be in different gravitational pulls.
Right.
No, I don't care how you slice it. It all depends on how far up and down we go.
And that's where we go below the plane of the basically the universe itself. Because we're going above and below the plane.
Well, the galaxy.
Through.
The galaxy, yes.
Right, yeah.
And so that was the only thing that we could document. There's still hardly anything to document on this Nibiru or Planet X. Although people say, oh, well, we can track it and it's doing this. It's like, yeah, okay. And until they turn around and the president stands up and says, we've got incoming, just like they did in Armageddon or Sudden Impact.
Wonderful. And who's actually going to find out that these are real facts? I mean, you know, let's go back to the flat Earth, right? I mean,
we have to. Well,
I mean, you're comparing is basically the same comparison. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. What's What's causing the Schumann resonance to go from 7.83 hertz up to over 100 hertz?
Exactly, and this is why I was saying we're going into something here that's changing the frequencies, and when the frequencies change, the states of matter change.
Yep.
And we're heading into it.
And here's the thing: when Schumann resonance increases, we go deeper into a time warp, which means our days get shorter. Yep, we still have 24 hours, but they're not the same 24 hours that we had 20 years ago.
Right.
And
not only that,
again, another biblical prophecy.
Who's to say that Schumann resonance is not going to create a revolution? Keep that in mind.
Well, that's that's another side of it, because it's causing stresses to people's bodies and minds both. Hey, you don't get your 8 hours of sleep, or 7 or 6, however many hours of sleep you need, 13 for some people, I guess. Right. You don't get your full amount of sleep. You become irritable. You don't get your full amount of sleep for a few days in a row, and now you're pissed off at the world.
Yeah.
And so now you've got a world full of people that are pissed off and they don't understand why, and somebody bumps into them and a riot breaks out.
And you know what? I pulled myself out of that situation. Because the littlest thing used to set me off, and it's like, and I had to reason with myself. I had to sit down and look inside, do soul searching like I made the video about, and change my whole outlook on everything.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a great example of this. And yes, we have the ability to do that. We have the ability to do that also with the radio frequency bombardment that we have. When they go to 5G, that's even going to be worse. But we can neutralize that just by putting us in a state of alpha or theta through prayer and meditation. It works. Give you. It's mostly becoming aware and then changing your state. And I'll give you an example, an actual real life example. I forgot what hurricane it was, Irene or I think it was Irene. Came up, knocked our lights out literally for 8 days, but it was the day after the hurricane, and I was sitting outside. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just pissed off at the world. But it's a beautiful morning. The birds are chirping away. The weather from my life.
Trying to figure out why you're like that.
Yeah, and I'm saying, why am I angry? I'm nobody had. Okay, the lights went out, but I can't do anything about that. That's no reason to be pissed off at the world. It was like, why was I so angry? And then it dawned on me, idiot, you've just been harped for the last 24 hours. That hurricane was a harp-driven storm.
Hijack. You've been hijacked.
And I used to submit to that too, because I remember telling my foreman one day, he came in my tent where I was working, and I looked at him and I said, look, I'm having a bad day. It's nothing you said, nothing you did.
You can't explain it.
He turned around and left, and I didn't see him until lunchtime.
You can't explain it. No, you can't explain it. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I like this?
Yeah.
Why am I like this?
Now, you see, once I realized that I had been harped, my state changed instantly. I was like, oh, well, there's a... I said, there's a logical answer. Thank you very much. I felt much better, and I enjoyed the morning, and I enjoyed the rest of the day. It was like, okay, so 7 days later or 8 days later, we got our electric back on. It was out for a total of 8 days. But, hey, we got through it. We had water. We were able to flush our toilets. I could walk down to the stream and get a bucket of water, bring it. Well, it was more than a bucket, but, we had a generator that we could keep going, and there were some people that, some places that you could still buy gas at. So, we struggled through it, but it was a taste of things to come.
Right.
You do that week after week after week after week, you're going to have people wanting to kill each other, especially if they can't buy food. It won't take week after week. It'll take a week.
Right.
Look what happened in New York City during Hurricane Sandy. Not that the people were rioting, but they were pissed and they were angry because, FEMA, who's supposed to lock us all up in FEMA camps, couldn't show up with some food with these people that couldn't buy food. There was no place for them to buy food.
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong? Didn't you store enough up? Yeah, I can understand if your house got washed out to sea. Now you're really screwed. But, hey, you live on Long Island next to the ocean. What were you expecting?
Yeah. Yep. Hey, we're getting ready to...
Gentlemen, I need to attend to something real quick. What's that?
We've only got about 6 minutes left.
Oh my goodness! How about that?
Oh, how quickly!
Well, I'll tell you what.
Indeed.
I'm going to hand the floor to you guys for a second here, and I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Skillzzz, what do you got to say?
Good heavens, it's been quite entertaining. Switched gears so many times, like we normally do on the show, on a continuous and regular basis. And what I have to say is, good heavens, like, you know, if you guys get a chance, actually, I'd have to pull up the site, but start gathering up some freeze-dried food, just and that and silver, and there you have it.
Yeah, and don't forget, head on over to lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com. Click that donate button. Help keep us on the air, because we really like what we do. We don't do it because we get paid to do it. We do it because we like it, and actually we think we might have something to offer you. So, yeah, come on in. Anyway, I've been away for a while, so I'm glad you guys invited me to come in tonight.
That's a welcome back scenario, I tell you.
I kind of feel like I've just kind of moved in and taken over for the one night. You know what I mean? Kind of halfway, but.
Well, hey, that worked out just fine, man.
Yeah, as long as it worked out. Yeah. Anyway, we are, and of course, I want to mention one more time, Lupus Awareness Month. You know, if you know what lupus is, you're aware of it. If you don't know, look it up.
Yep.
Okay, make yourself aware. This is the Awareness Month. And a lot of people don't know what it's all about. And you never know, your neighbor could have it. There. I've got that out of my system.
Oh, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to our show tonight. And I hope you feel rather well more informed, such as I do. And there you have it.
Yeah, we'll keep you aware of what's going on the best that we can. I might be back from time to time, but chances are next week is going to be my last show here because, like I said, it's time to go home. So anybody who is interested in moving off the grid, wants more information, thinking about relocating, reach out to me. Go to the website. You can reach me through my website, www.peterkling.com, or you can write me ONE@peterkling.com, or go join me on Facebook. So there, I generally do my best to get through all of everybody's questions through the messages. Sometimes I do get a little bit behind, but not often. And if you haven't read it, read Letters to Earth, because the future is yours. You find it at barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, ask your local booksellers, a bookstore, or you can make a donation on my website, again, www.peterkling.com, and I will send you a PDF copy of it. So you
Neely
can
Publishing.
do that tonight. Neely Publishing, Neely Worldwide Publishing.
There you go.
You can also look them up and write to them and get a copy of it. No, I do not sell my own book. Anyway, I will give you I will send the PDF file for you, and that's as far as I've gotten. The other, it's just never mind. Anyway, with that, I'll say love and blessings to all, and if you're interested, give me a shout. Gentlemen, enjoy the show. We got a lot of good information out. I just hope that our listeners take advantage of that information and do the things that, or at least look into the things, research the things that we've recommended they do. And with that, I'm pretty much done. Love and blessings to all.
Good night, everyone.
Very good. I'll be online with either Peter and also Papa. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening.
And we're out.